Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Tucson area attorneys. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only. CordellCordell.com.
Live from the CNWT.
From the what?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
Marshall trying to make it a two-point affair. Second is good. 95-93. Overhand pass attempted. Get it to Williams. 2 seconds. She is trying to get to the three-point line. Puts it up. It'll count if it goes. It's off the back rim. Wildcats give one away to USC. Fall in double overtime, 95-93.
Welcome to March. Let the madness begin. The best month of college basketball. We used to say we'll crown a champion in March, but actually we have to wait till April to do that. But all the drama leading up to crowning those champions will take place in the beginning of March, or in the month of March. Or in the case of last night, it began at the end of February. Arizona women's basketball had a 10-point lead with 6 minutes to go against the number 7 team in the country, the women of Troy from Southern California. Juju Watkins, arguably maybe the best player in the conference this year. Many are saying potentially she should be the National Freshman of the Year. Fouls out. Just 20 points on 7 of 19 from the floor. She took her 19 shots to get to 20 points. The Wildcats were up 5 in the final minute of this game, but could not hang on. The Trojans rallied in the final seconds to force OT. Then it would go to double OT. How many overtime games does it take? What's that now? 5 overtimes? The Arizona Wildcats women's basketball team has played 5 overtime. Not just overtime. All of them have gone multiple overtimes. Double overtime home loss to Colorado. Triple overtime home win against Washington. Double overtime home loss to USC. Triple overtime road loss at Oregon State. This is with a team that's got 7 players. I mean, 8, yeah, they got the 8. They added the 8. They added Brooklyn. But she's not ready to go yet. She could have played. And the Dia said, well, we'd have fouled out and needed her. Then they would have put her in the game. An overtime home win here against Utah. I mean, just unbelievable. The number of games. I think that's the only one. So they have had one game where they played just one overtime. All the others have been multiple overtimes this season. An opportunity that slipped away for the Arizona Wildcats last night. It was a fun game, though. I got there right about halftime, and the Wildcats at the time were up 2 points. They would build that lead to 10 in the third quarter of the game. Let's hear some of the highlights from that game last night at McHale Center.
Juju Watkins starting on the far sideline, now cuts over to the top of the key, accelerates left to right, and has her pass deflected and stolen away to Jones. 3-on-1 opportunity as the needle is thread. Jones finds Williams and the Cats are back up 11. Approaching the 3-minute mark. Misses the free throw as now she is really crowding Williams. That's a foul. And a blocking foul is called. And it's on Watkins, and it's her 5th. They let Watkins knock Williams to the ground with all sorts of body contact and then waited as Williams was dribbling on her knees. And Watkins reached over the back. So it's a 3-point game. And Davis, who's a 57% free throw shooter, is trying to make it a 2-point game. Can't do it, but she has her own miss. Back outside, wide open 3 from Padilla. Back of the rim, no good. Another chance for Padilla after the offensive rebound, scores it. USC now with 17 offensive rebounds. Down 3, 50 seconds left. Trying to get this one to Williams, as this one, as she's being crowded by Williams, starts moving to the left, is going to step back, try a 3, it's up and good. Alexis of Tucson Charity 3 ties it, and now Gottlieb will take one of her 2 timeouts to advance it. Forbes being defended closely by Jones, 9 seconds. Moves to the far sideline, high dribble, 6 seconds, uses a screen, fights through it, gets into the painted area, puts up a shot off the glass, it's not good. Rebound's taken by Jones, she gets a shot up, it'll count. No, it will not. I got to take a moment here as they're getting ready to go into the 5th overtime period in the last 2 home games, tied at 85. Marshall reaches in on Williams. 2 USC players are back. Now trying to post up Bay on a much smaller Bigby, and she's able to get the catch and finish. Back in front go the Wildcats, 89-87. She has her shot blocked by Padilla, I think, or she just lost it going up. Bay thought she was fouled, as the fans agree. High dribble now from Forbes, wanting to go inside at Marshall. Instead, back outside Williams, and now Bigby. Set it over to Padilla. 3 is up and good after the Wildcats were out of position. 92-89, 2 minutes to play. Wildcats trail. Marshall trying to make it a 2-point affair. Second is good. 95-93. Overhand pass attempted. Get it to Williams. 2 seconds. She is trying to get to the 3-point line. Puts it up. It'll count if it goes. It's off the back rim.
Kayla Padilla of USC in 2 games against the Wildcats this year hit 10 of 15 3-point shots. And none too bigger than last night. It was almost like that Washington State men's game where she shot a 3, Arizona up 3, Padilla shot a 3, missed it, Arizona couldn't get the rebound. You heard Derek mention there, 17 offensive rebounds. Southern California got the ball back out to Padilla, and she hits the 3 that tied the game and sent it into the first overtime. And then the game tied in the second overtime at, I believe it was 91 at the time. And she hits another 3 to put the Trojans, Women of Troy, up 3 at that point, and they never relinquished the lead after that. 5 threes at the Galen Center for Kayla Padilla, 5 threes at McHale Center in Tucson to allow the Southern California's Women of Troy to sweep Arizona this season and come from 10 down in the 4th to win Thursday night, 95-93. A difficult loss to swallow. You'll hear from Adia Barnes a little bit later in our program, as well as the players after the ball game. Adia came out and said she was not disappointed. They gave all they could. The 7 that she sent out there, but just not quite enough to beat a talented team like Southern California, who played all of those overtimes the majority of the fourth quarter and all those overtimes without their best player, but still had enough to pull out the victory against the Wildcats. Were you at the game last night? What did you think? 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. We want to hear from you. Senior Day. We very rarely get basketball doubleheaders. This will be our second this year. I don't ever remember both senior days being on the same day. But that's what we get Saturday here in Tucson. We get senior day for the men at noon. We get senior day for the women at 6. The men will take on Oregon, a team that has perennially been difficult to beat here in Tucson. And the ladies will get another top 10 team as 8th-ranked UCLA will come in for the nightcap at 6 o'clock. We will be on the Plaza patio at McHale Center, the Jim Click Hall of Champions patio, between games tomorrow for our men's postgame show. We will also have extended coverage for you leading up to the women's game, which begins at 6. Men's postgame from 3 to about 5. And then women's extra coverage, bonus coverage from 5 to around 5:45, leading you up to Derek Palmer's coverage at 5:45 tomorrow night for the game that tips off at 6. So a long and fun day of basketball coming up for you tomorrow. I cannot believe I've been doing this now this is year 16, and I always get to this part of the season. I was like, man, it's over here in Tucson. These are the last home games in Tucson. And when I did television, J-Dub, I used to always – I did it for most of the games because I would generally be – the gaining game I was covering, I would generally be the last one to leave. So I'd always take a picture of the empty McHale Center on the way out. And then it was always that last one was always like, this is the last one of the year. Well, that's tomorrow. But at least we get the men's game will end. We have one more game with the women, though, right after that. But always sad to see the end of a basketball home season.
You better be quick with that photo because they're going to clear McHale out and then get the people right back in there, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, for me, having followed the program for 4 decades, I think it's always, a bittersweet pill. You always cheer on the season. It's obviously a culmination of the end of the season, end of the home season anyway. And it's dependent on the class, right? And this class in particular, you're talking about 5 seniors, but many of those guys transferred in here after being somewhere else. But if you think about guys like Umar and Pella, I mean, did they really, DK? I mean, they've been here so long. I mean, Umar Ballo did not get much playing time up there in Spokane. So although he did start his college career with the Zags and Pella Larson did start his college career with the Utes, they've been here so long. They're so ingratiated into this program. I think you'll hear as loud a cheer for seniors, especially for those 2 guys. And the other 2, we're talking about rotation players. Keyshot and Caleb Love have been as impactful transfers into this program as anybody I've ever seen in their first year. There's other guys you can talk about, Chris Mills and, Brian Williams, all these other transfers in the history of the program. But those 2 guys this year, DK, with their Final Four experience. So I know that the noise levels tomorrow during that senior ceremony will be as loud for some players who maybe didn't start their careers here as there ever has been.
I didn't have a question of the day but I just came up with one. Who is that senior? Men's team, women's team? Who is that senior that got your eyes a little wet
I'll tell you,
senior day?
For me, it wasn't a senior. It was 3 guys, and it was one of the guys we talked to yesterday on the show.
Kenny
so
Lofton.
In 89, when Sean Elliott, Kenny Lofton, and Anthony Cook were all part of the same class, when they left, it was sad because that was my real, when I really started getting passionate about Arizona basketball about 84, 85. That was the beginning of their careers. But really, it was because that was the best team I ever saw at the U of A. And they got knocked out by an Anderson Hunt 3-pointer. Some people still think it was an offensive foul on Kenny Lofton, as a matter of fact, who was the player involved in that play. But to see those guys on the verge of leaving, I couldn't wait to root for Sean in the NBA. But that class there, on the heels of Steve Kerr and that whole group that left the year before, That was probably the last one that I wouldn't say I cried, but I was definitely emotional that time for sure.
We are joined by the third member of our program, Cricket. It is the weekend. Woo!
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I'm not going to, I'll see you guys Monday, but then after Monday, I'm not going to really see you guys because I'm going to Las Vegas. 2 weeks in Vegas. First prize is 2 weeks in Vegas. So I'm not going to get to see you guys, but what's happening around Tucson this weekend, Cricket? I'm sure, I did a lot of driving this afternoon because I had to go over there and see the mom. And it was so beautiful out there. I was like driving back and I'm like, oh my God, this is such a beautiful day. I just wish I could like get out of my car and go lay in a nice patch of grass somewhere and just look up at the sky.
And not work.
Not work. Not come back. Not that we don't love our cave here, but man, maybe we should do that sometimes. We'll just randomly take the show out to a park. We could probably do that. All we need really, we don't need the whole production of a tent and all that. Let's just go out to a park and sit in the grass and do the show. We might do that at some point.
I like that.
I'm all about crazy stuff.
Sure.
Crazy stuff.
You'd be the fun teacher everybody liked.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you're the fun teacher for sure. I like that.
Whew, I don't know. I don't know if the kids could put up with me. But so what's happening this weekend, Cricket?
Well, I have a lot of indoor events.
Oh, come on.
I know. I'm saving the outdoor events for next time.
Week.
Yeah.
Right.
Cirque du Soleil, the Crystal Show through Sunday at the TCC. There is the Wild Wild West Steampunk Convention at Casino del Sol, also through Sunday. Some live music tonight. Classic Albums Live performs Supertramp's Breakfast in America at the Fox. And also at the Fox on Sunday, Brian Setzer's Rockabilly Riot. FoxTucson.com for details. And tomorrow night, this sounds fun. You'd like this, DK. The I Want My MTV Totally Outrageous 80s Party at the Rialto Theater.
Right, I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Is a concert a benefit or something? I don't know. I was looking at it and I was trying to figure out exactly what it was, but I was like, I might have to at least investigate tickets for that.
Yeah,
you got any Crickets tickets for that?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
No.
I'm sorry. It's a fundraiser. So
it is a fundraiser.
It's a fundraiser to help with the costs to keep the Rialto running every year. So
okay.
it's a what did we say the other day? It's a gala. It's a gala.
A gala.
You go to a gala, you go to a gala.
Right.
I'm not fancy enough for galas.
It's a gala or gala, however you would like to say. And again, that's Saturday at the Rialto. There'll be like costume contests, a DJ. Get out your parachute pants and your Aquanet.
Okay. What was the one thing from the 80s? Well, I'll save that because we're over
members
time
only
already.
jackets.
Okay.
We'll come back to that next time and talk about what we wore in the 80s that we would love to pull out of our closet if we still had it and wear right now. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather as well is Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio, 1290 traffic and weather together. Ina and Old Father, a collision there. Some earlier westbound slowing, some busy traffic on Grant Road right between Alvernon and Columbus. Backups northbound Country Club at Grant. You could use Tucson Boulevard instead. More slowing at Campbell and Grant Road. 48 in clear tonight, sunny, 76 tomorrow, 71 on Sunday, and 75 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio, 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Save now at Dell.com/deals.
The very best in play-by-play is on Tucson's best sports station, Wildcats Radio 1290. This is the home of the Wildcats and NFL play-by-play. This is the one and only Wildcats Radio 1290.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic,
or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening.
It's kind of like that. Did you seriously just aeroseal Gary's mouth?
Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes aeroseal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that? What do you say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
You know how we Wildcats love our games, and there's no place better, closer, or safer to game than Desert Diamond Casinos. Filled with hundreds of the newest, loosest slots, dozens of your favorite table games, and superior food and beverage options. Desert Diamond is the #1 destination for your free time fun festivities. Bear down for the best time in Tucson. Go to Desert Diamond Casinos. Go Cats!
Let's see, something different for dinner. Searching restaurants near me.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Gee, same old, same old.
Wait, we're right here. Ma'am, our restaurant's just a few blocks from you. Why is she not seeing us?
Back to the usual, I guess.
Ma'am, can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you. Because you're buried deep in the list of local restaurants. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp data bank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
Supertramp ruled the 80s with a chart-busting Breakfast in America. Friday, March 1st at Fox Tucson Theater, Classic Albums Live performs this iconic album, note for note, cut for cut. The music that found its way into your heart, performed by master musicians who absolutely get it right. Classic Albums Live performs Supertramp, Breakfast in America. Get your tickets now at foxtucson.com.
Wildcats Radio 1290 is everywhere. Wildcats fans can listen to us everywhere on our all-new app.
Now available from the Google Play Store and the App Store for iPhone users.
The home of the Wildcats is everywhere. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
He's kind and he's funny and he's also mustachioed. He solves all your problems by the end of every episode. TV Dad. Everyone loves TV Dad. TV Dad. Unlike your real dad, he never hollers. And he tells you how Progressive can save you lots of dollars.
Listen to your TV Dad. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290. It's time for your Arizona Insiders.
Oh, sweet.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions of UMA basketball. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona basketball. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
Let's talk some Arizona basketball with the man who calls the games. He has seen a whole lot of senior days for sure. It's Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats. Before we get to senior day, Brian, let's rehash what happened in Tempe the other night. The one thing you got to like, I guess, about the second half of that game is Arizona State threw every single punch, and the Wildcats were able to answer all of those punches. Every time the lead got back down to 5 points or within 2 possessions, the Wildcats had an answer to stretch it back out, and that's really what you want to see at this time of year.
Yeah, and that was really important. And you knew that the Sun Devils weren't going to go away quietly, and that's been their MO throughout the season, is that even in the games that they've lost, they've made it competitive. They've been a really good second-half team. but they just had some offensive deficiencies this year. But anyway, to your point, David, the Wildcats, you knew going into that game that it was going to be tight at some point simply because it's a rivalry game, and the Sun Devils were certainly embarrassed after their 45-point loss here in Tucson. So I was frankly kind of surprised the Wildcats were up by 14 at halftime. I thought ASU might come out with a little more energy. Arizona had the energy going, and second half, like you said, you knew the Sun Devils were going to make some type of run. And to the Wildcats' credit, they didn't flinch and just kept doing what they do. And I think he had some great ball movement, got some good shots, made them, and got the win. So very important, because right now when you're chasing a conference championship, at this point, Arizona needs to win them all, and that was certainly one of them.
The dominant double-double run of Al Fleming was a few years before you got to Tucson, Brian. But what's really stood out to you about what Umar Battle's been able to do over the course of the last 3 weeks?
Well, probably because it's the last 3 weeks, and sometimes this time of the season, your body starts to wear down a little bit, and you wonder, do you have the energy night in and night out? And I think the fact that Umar is bringing it now, I think like a lot of seniors, knowing that the end is in sight, they want to make the most of it, not only for this year, but for the future as well. And so he's playing his best basketball. I mean, what I like most is, the double-doubles. That's huge, because that's, that just doesn't happen. You don't average a double-double, and he's doing that. But the fact that, he is putting himself in great position to make shots. You take a look at his field goal percentage, and I want to say it's up to 63 or 64% right now. And it's because, he's doing such a great job of planting himself in the right spot. And we talk about the paint so much, and that's where he hangs out. And that allows him, of course, to get, I don't want to say easier shots. There's no such thing. But he finds himself in perfect range to make shots. And so the last 3 weeks, that stood out to me as his court awareness, where he needs to be. And then, of course, guys getting him the ball on top of that.
The voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, joining us. It's Arizona and Oregon Saturday, Senior Day at McHale Center. Now, Brian, if I'm not mistaken, you began during that time when Kenny Lofton was on the team, correct?
I remember him well. I remember when he joined the team, and you couldn't get him to put two words together. He was the quietest, shyest, most reserved guy I had ever seen. I don't know if I heard him, say 3 words the entire season. I'm kidding. It wasn't quite that, but he was just kind of a guy that didn't talk a lot, and I think around his teammates he was fine. I think the rest of us, though, he just he didn't have a whole lot to say, and then you see as his career advanced, and then obviously after he left Arizona, which tells you a little bit about the education he got. He became, a Major League All-Star, and it's funny. I think it was last year. It was last season. We were at Pauley Pavilion, and he was at the game, and I just remember him coming over to say hello. And he is outgoing, gregarious. I mean, just a great guy, and I mean, obviously one of the all-time greats at Arizona. And, I always remind people this time of the year, he put on a baseball uniform for Arizona there. And so, people think that, well, wait a minute, he turned out to be this great baseball player, but he played basketball at Arizona. Well, he did. I mean, he came to the U of A on a basketball scholarship, but, he got out onto the field a few times under Jerry Kindle, and now look at that baseball career he's had. I mean, it's been something else.
Are there many guys that, obviously he had tremendous jumping ability. I mean, who are there other guys you would put in that class that have played the guard position that had the kind of hops that he had?
Probably at his size, no. Off the top of my head, I don't know everybody's vertical. I'll tell you a guy that's on the roster right now. I mean, if you want to call him a guard, you can, and that's KJ Lewis. He's 6'4", and I mean that guy I think might be able to touch the top of the backboard. I haven't asked him that yet, but it sure looks like he's almost there a couple of times when when he gets the right jump off his feet. So, it's a rare thing, and I think that's one reason Kenny had such a great Major League Baseball career. Is he's just a tremendous athlete. You might say, well, vertical. Well, yeah, you go up against the wall there and you're trying to rob somebody a home run. It comes in handy.
He joked about getting, when he first got here, they would have contests to see who could touch the top of the square on the backboard, and he would pretty much win all the time in that respect. That's how high he could jump off the ground as a basketball player. Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats, is our guest. Brian, Senior Day is always an interesting time. I want to ask you this question because we were kind of talking about it a little bit on the post-game show the other night. Do you think in the era of basketball that we're in now, with it being somewhat transient, guys coming in for shorter periods of time, not being here 4 years, that Senior Day means as much as it used to?
Well, I think for the players it does, because it's their last game, and be it they've been at the same school for 4 or 5 years, or if they transferred in, they know that this is the end. And I think, well, we'll just take Arizona, for example. I mean, Caleb Love, came to Arizona for a reason. And you look at what he's done in his senior season, I think it's very special for him. Pella Larson, Umar Ballo, both came in at the same time, and they came here because they wanted to be part of this, of exactly what they've been able to accomplish, and so it's very special to them. Keyshawn Johnson wanted to expand his game, and it's not that the coaches at San Diego State didn't treat him well. He just felt that he had an opportunity to do some more things that he hadn't been able to do with the Aztecs, and he's been able to do that this year. He's put up he's made 24 3-pointers this year, and that's something he really talked about, because when he gets to the next level at his size, 6'7", he's got to hit a face-up jumper. So I think it's special for all those guys because of, one, what they've been able to accomplish this season and why they came here. And you're right. I mean, when you're not here for a long period of time, especially if you just come in for one season, sometimes the fans, I think, have a difficult time trying to latch on to some of these guys. But in Arizona's case, I'm talking about Keyshawn and Caleb, because they came in for one season. I just think their personalities have allowed them to become fan favorites, and of course winning is a big help too. And let's not forget Grant Whiteman, who's been a walk-on, who's going to go on and play somewhere else next year, and he's been in, I counted up the other day, 41 games in his Arizona career. And he was a walk-on when he arrived, and now he's a guy that's capable of playing some good basketball, and we'll see him somewhere next year. And what a big part that he has played, because guys like that are behind the scenes, you'll work as hard as everybody every day, and they don't get the glory. It's a great day for him, I think, to go through Senior Day.
All right, you've seen a lot of these. You've seen a lot of these Senior Days, and in the first segment, I threw out our question of the day today. And that question is, who's maybe that one player or group of players that got the eyes maybe a little misty on Senior Day? Was there a group for you or a player for you that obviously you're so close with these guys, traveling on the road with them, that maybe when he walked out there on Senior Day, you said to yourself, man, I'm going to miss that guy?
Well, I'm going to go back to, probably, the days again when you had guys that were here for 4 years.
Yeah.
And, Steve Kerr, Judd Bushler, Sean Elliott, I could go on from there. Guys that, spent their careers at Arizona that, when you're here, more than 1 or 2 years, I just think there's a lot more to it. And I'm not taking anything away from the guys that only come in for 1 year, because that's just the nature of the game as it is today. But, Lute Olson always had a recruiting philosophy. He wanted to recruit 3 players every season, so that he basically had 12 guys that he could call, and then he would only lose 3 each year. And it worked out pretty well for him. That's long gone, of course, in college basketball. But so you had guys that were around for 3, 4, sometimes occasionally 5 years. And I could name a bunch of them where, how about, even though it wasn't a full 4, how about TJ McConnell transferred in? The emotions that he showed on his last day when he kissed the floor at McHale. I mean, guys that just, it means so much to them. They give it so much, and, they don't want to let go, but at the same time, they know that this is it. No more games at home, and I think they want to enjoy it and take those memories with them for the rest of their lives.
Brian, your keys to a win over the Oregon Ducks?
Well, Oregon's in a tough spot right now. They're on the outside looking in terms of the NCAA tournament. They desperately need to win some of these games. They want to finish in the top 4. Of course, everybody still has a shot in Las Vegas. I just noticed in talking to the folks up there that Dana Altman has kind of slowed things down because of the injuries. They lost 3 guys now for the season, and they're not pushing the tempo quite as much, but they're playing better defense at the same time. So it comes down to that again: is who's going to dictate the tempo tomorrow? I think is always going to be important. The Wildcats have the advantage of being at home, and there's a lot of emotions about Senior Day. And so they got to put those aside after the ceremony before tip-off. That's got to be forgotten for a couple of hours because, Oregon's they're in a must-win. They're fighting for their postseason lives right now. And I just think that you're going to probably get their best shot. It's been a pretty good rivalry over the years. Arizona's win up in Eugene, I think, might be the most impactful win the Wildcats have had this season because they had just come off that loss to Oregon State, and they played one of their best games. And again, Oregon would like some payback, and, the Wildcats want to close it out with a win. So I think the Cats are playing really good basketball right now, and you'd like to finish at home in that same vein.
Yeah, you mentioned those injuries. One of those happened in the last time around. These two teams, Keyshawn Bartholomew suffered that injury. That was tough to watch and see that young man who obviously, transferred over from Colorado, hopefully have a chance to, like you mentioned with the guys that came here, have a chance to get to the NCAA tournament and finish his career off in the right way. And you hate to see those dreams come to an end in the fashion that did. Brian, we always appreciate you. Enjoy Senior Day, and we will talk to you next week ahead of the big weekend in Los Angeles.
Absolutely. Thanks, David. We'll see you.
Brian Jeffries, he is the voice of the Wildcats. You can hear him on the call with Ryan Hansen. Again, our coverage will begin at 8 o'clock and in the morning, and then noon will be the tip-off for the Wildcats and the Oregon Ducks.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With a collision at Ina and Old Father and Ina. Busy areas this afternoon for Grant Road and Campbell. Traffic on Grant Road between Alvernon and Columbus for slowing, and on northbound Country Club approaching Grant Road. Weather-wise, 48 clear tonight, sunny 76 tomorrow, and 71 on Sunday, 75 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Now, during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs, desk chairs, computer chairs, even gaming chairs. In-store only, offer ends 3/2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat.
Over the years, Lerner Rowe has helped over 150,000 injured people recover billions of dollars for their injuries, and over $1 billion in the last 5 years alone. What does that mean to you when you're looking for an attorney to handle your personal injury case? That means that Lerner Rowe is a law firm that not only has experience, but the proven results to recover money for your injuries. The insurance companies know which attorneys won't put up a fight. When you call us, we call them, and they know they have to pay.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is, when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Did you hear what Coach said this week on the Tommy Lloyd radio show?
Arizona's extended Tommy Lloyd's contract through 2029. Thanks for sticking around, Coach.
Thank you, guys. It was obviously a pretty easy decision. We're humbled and thankful that we get to call Tucson home and I get to coach at Arizona, so thank you, guys.
What's the most challenging aspect of your job?
Oh, wow, man.
Coming here Monday night talking to me is probably...
Working with you, Brian, is so hard.
The Tommy Lloyd radio show, Mondays at 6 o'clock. You miss a week, you miss a lot. Wildcats Radio, 1290.
Tucson, it's time for the Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, March 8th through the 10th. Now at La Paloma Country Club and the Westin La Paloma Resort and Spa. See some of golf's greatest players compete for the coveted Conquistadors Helmet Trophy. It's PGA Tour Champions Golf at its finest. And Friday night, under the stars, see Midland and Roger Klein and the Peacemakers live in concert at Rito Park. The Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, benefiting colorectal cancer awareness in youth sports. Tickets and more at CologuardClassic.com.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic.
Or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening. It's kind of like that.
Did you seriously just aeroseal Gary's mouth?
Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes AeroSeal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that? What do you say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. You can text APP to 520-848-1290. I'll send you a link to download our app, and you can take it wherever you want to go. In fact, if you head on over to our app right now, our lead story of the moment is the Arizona Coyotes, who are going to play tonight on the road. I believe they're on like an extended road trip right now, which is probably not the greatest thing when you've lost 14 consecutive games. But yeah, that's where they are right now. A 14-game losing streak, 0 wins, 12 losses, 2 overtime losses. If they lose tonight, it's going to be the longest losing streak for the Coyotes since the franchise moved to Arizona. Think about that. They last lost 14 in a row back in 2003 and 2004. The original Winnipeg Jets have the longest winless streak in franchise history. They lost a whopping 30 games in a row back in 1980. And, of course, the Jets moved to Phoenix back in 1996-97 for that season. So sitting on the cusp of history are the Coyotes. You can read more about that game. Head on over to our website, wildcatsradio1290.com, or download our app. You can read about the Coyotes as well on our app, plus a full recap of last night's game between the Arizona women's basketball team and the Women of Troy, in which USC came back to win 95-93 in double overtime. We're going to chat coming up in the next hour with longtime Arizona women's basketball coach Joan Bonvincini. She is also an analyst with the Pac-12 Network. She worked the game with Brian Weber last night, and we'll hear from Joan, get her thoughts on what she saw last night as the Wildcats came close but came up just a little bit short of winning. Also, in the 5 o'clock hour, we are going to chat with Taryne Mowatt-McKinley, the two-time national champion pitcher for Arizona softball, who is now the pitching coach at Mississippi State. Taryne Mowatt-McKinley will join us on the show. We will chat with her about her new situation, the end of her tenure here at the University of Arizona, and what she hopes for in the future. We'll ask her, if she hopes to maybe someday be a head coach in NCAA softball, but currently now in her first season as the pitching coach at Mississippi State. Looking forward to hearing Taryne's thoughts about the transition from Tucson to Starkville, where, I don't know if you saw this, but apparently there's a House bill in the Mississippi State Legislature where they're calling potentially for a shutdown of 3 universities within the state of Mississippi. We thought we had problems. They're talking about closing down colleges, closing down universities in Mississippi. That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. But that's kind of where some states are. That they're actually talking about shutting down entire universities. So Taryne Mowatt went to Mississippi State. Mississippi State might not even exist in 2 years. I highly doubt that rabid fan base is going to allow their university to get shut down. But that is what is toiling through the Mississippi State Legislature at the moment. A House bill. You got to watch out, man. Those House bills, you never know what's in those House bills in state legislatures. They might just try to shut down entire universities, which sounds incredibly impossible to do, but I would never put anything
I mean, it is
in
an
front of government
election
people.
year, DK. So if you want to go down that rabbit hole and talk about shutting down universities, I understand that the reasoning from the person who sponsored this bill is declining enrollment and an excess of funding going to them. But it's apparently dead on arrival, is what I've heard.
And how about, we talked earlier this week about Governor Katie Hobbs' demand for meeting with the Arizona Board of Regents. Well, now apparently Regents Chair Fred Duvall is going to step down immediately from that role. And the interim financial chief at the University of Arizona, who is also on the Board of Regents, you've heard his voice on our station, John Arnold, is going to also step away from his role on the Board of Regents because of the appearance of a conflict of interest.
Now, I read Mr. Arnold will continue his role as head of this interim head of this situation going on at the U of A, right?
Correct. He's going to continue that. He'll step away from his role with the Regents. Now, Chair Duvall will still be a regent. He still has 2 years left on his term. He just will not be the chairman anymore. He's stepping out of that chairman role and apparently he has said that he is going to be on campus next week for anyone that wants to talk to him about the situation here at the University of Arizona. So if you have anything to say to Chair Duvall about the financial situation here at the U of A or anything else, I would imagine, he said, I'm going to be in a room on campus for 3 hours, I believe, on Tuesday and 2 hours on Wednesday. So if you want to come by and talk to me, here I am. Very interesting at all.
That should be fun meeting.
Unfortunately, I won't be here, but you want to go talk to him?
Sure. You got any questions you want me to sling at him?
I'm sure I could. Hey, I can come up with some questions.
I know you can.
If you,
it's a rhetorical question.
I can come up with some questions for Chair Duvall if you want to go over there and ask them. 520-848-1290. We should get somebody from the promo crew. We can get one of our promo kids. They would be like freaked out. Well, how did I get this job? I had to go over and ask questions to the chairman of the Arizona Board of Regents.
Let's do it.
So we were talking about Senior Day. And I'll get the question up here at the end of the hour on Twitter so you can tell us. But you can also call us, 520-848-1290. Who is that player? The Arizona basketball player. We're only talking Arizona basketball right now. We can get into other senior days when they come around, baseball and softball in the spring and all that. But Arizona basketball, men or women, who is that player? Who's that player that got your eyes a little bit misty on Senior Day? Now, I got here in 2008-09 was my first season. I have to look it up. I'm not exactly sure if this particular player was in my first class or my second class. But the guy that kind of got me, it was my first class. So my first. I call my original. So that would have been my original team here, 2008, 2009, when I was working with IMG and doing the internal pregame show, the network pre and post. But the guy for me was David Baga. When David Baga walked out there on senior, he really, and I don't know. I mean, and again, and this is the other thing. I mean, for those of you that know my history, you know, I was a basketball manager in college, so I spent 4 years around a basketball program of my own, and you always loved those walk-ons, man. The guys at the end of the bench who would get into games, and it seemed like every team had that walk-on that the fans loved. And in a whole separate instance of Senior Day, I don't know. I haven't felt that in the last few years here at Arizona. I haven't felt that walk on. I haven't felt that that the fan base has a connection to a specific walk on anymore. But when I got here, everybody was in love with David Baga. When David Baga would come into the game in that 8-9 season, man, the student section, the Zona Zoo was on their feet. The crowd was on their feet. And if that kid hit a three, you couldn't keep the cover on McHale Center that season. And when he walked, and I was that was my first year. But just being around that team and getting a chance to talk to him, and he was such a down-to-earth kid, and so, yeah, when David Baga walked out there on Senior Day and the crowd just roared. I mean, they roared for him on that early spring day in 2009. That was probably the one that got a little misty for me.
I remember the first guy I remember was Craig Bergman, who I believe came over from the football team. But he was that guy when Craig Bergman would get in the game, 86, 87, 87, 88, those years, and would hit a three, that Gumby, the crowd and the team, the bench, and you can feel that, DK. That thing you feel when the players on the bench, the starters and the rotation guys, are acting the fool because somebody who never gets playing time gets in the last minute and actually makes something happen, gets a steal,
right?
Gets a layup or three-pointer or whatever. It's always so energizing because, again, you've said it so many times, and Brian Jeffries just talked about it. Those guys behind the scenes, how much work they put in, how much they do to help the team prepare, especially scout team stuff, getting players in the rotation ready for their next opponent. That was one guy I remember. I know Coach Olson always made it a point to get a lot of those guys in at the end of games, and maybe that's obviously the era of that when you were a manager at USC, and then that era up and through the mid '90s in the Kobe era. Everything changed then because all of a sudden you had one and done. Well, all of a sudden you had players leaving directly, and then you had a lot more freshmen, sophomores leaving. That wasn't really a thing before then. There just wasn't. That there were too many good upperclassmen that were draft eligible that got taken in that draft. So the last 25 or so years, it's just really been a lot of players who aren't here for the longest period of time. I think is a big reason why the crowd hasn't connected as much. But as far as the walk-ons go, I think it's just philosophy. You look at Coach Tomey, right? I mean, how many of his players have the philosophy of walk-on, right? That philosophy of embracing those players who are not 3 stars coming out of high school, right? But maybe one-stars that work their way into a playing position or whatever. And I don't know if there's a guy that comes to mind like a David Baga in these last 10 classes or so.
Yeah. Yeah, it really hasn't been. I'll have to go back. I put that list together earlier in the year, or actually it was really last year, earlier in the show calendar when we were kind of trying to figure out if we were going to do a team for the basketball tournament. We never got to that. But we'll do that this year. That was one of those things I kept talking about. We're going to do this, and we never did it. And I had the list of walk-ons and all of that. So I'll have to go back to that list and kind of see if there was a guy that stands out. But on the obviously they're going to honor all of the players as well as staff tomorrow. So shout out to Luke Rosenblatt, our chief sales guy, Keith Rosenblatt's son, who is a basketball manager. He'll be honored before the game tomorrow. So I would imagine Keith and his lovely wife I believe her name is Suzette or Suzanne, is it? Will be there to honor their son Luke at the game. So that'll be fun to I'll have to get over there early and see the Rosenblatts have their moment prior to the game tomorrow against the Oregon Ducks.
25,653.
25,463.
653. That's the population of Starksville, Mississippi.
Oh.
So going back to the start of this segment, a change from Tucson to Starksville.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're going to start seeing that quite a bit more in the next 6 months. Going from the metropolitan super areas that we're used to in our conference, right?
Right. Yeah,
quite a lot of smaller cities like
Real
that.
college towns.
Real college towns.
Real college towns, indeed. All right, it's DK on the Sports Tip. He is J.W. Madden. I am David Kelly. We'll talk to you at 520-848-1290. Joan Bonvincini is going to join us in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll talk some Arizona women's basketball, what happened down the stretch. We'll get Joan's thoughts on that. Cricket also will be back with you in the 5 o'clock hour with more about what is happening in Tucson this weekend. It's DK on the Sports Tip. Once again, you're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With collisions reported, La Cholla north of Ajo Way, and of course slowdowns back up southbound La Cholla at Ajo, Ina and Shannon, Irvington and Midvale Park, Palo Verde south of I-10 at Crash Golf Links and Wilmot, backups at Ajo Way and Mission southbound and westbound, and pretty significant southbound I-19 frontage road slowdowns approaching Irvington. 48 are low, clear tonight, sunny, 76 tomorrow, 71 on Sunday, and 75 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Save now at Dell.com/deals.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
We get you so close to McHale, it sounds like the Arizona Pep Band is riding in your back seat.
What the hell is going on?
This is the home of Arizona men's basketball. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Wildcat fans, join head coach Adia Barnes and the Arizona women's basketball team in McKale Center this season. Single game tickets start as low as $17 and are available for purchase now. You won't want to miss the fierce competition coming to Arizona. Tickets are available at ArizonaWildcats.com/WBK. Arizona women's basketball. Let's pack McKale Center.
Remember to tune in to Wildcats Radio 1290 for the biggest pregame show in the Pac-12. Because that's how we roll. We go on the air 4 hours before every football and men's basketball game all season long. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Tucson area attorneys. Scott Trout, licensed in Missouri, Illinois, and Georgia only. CordellCordell.com.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
I do overthink everything.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
I should just get fake plants.
It's the President's Day sale at Mattress Firm. Get a king bed for a queen price. Save up to $700, plus a free adjustable base with select Sealy mattresses. See a lower price? We'll match it. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Get the backyard you've always wanted with a custom pool from First Choice Pools. A backyard oasis built around you. First Choice is a full-service builder of beautiful in-ground pools and backyard designs for years of staycations. If you're ready to dive in, then visit TucsonPoolBuilder.com. Schedule now and get 3 months of full service free. First Choice Pools for installs, renovation, remodeling, and repair. Get started today at TucsonPoolBuilders.com. First Choice Pools, the first and only choice.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona men's basketball, along with all the play-by-play action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hey listener, welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it!
There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Live from the CNWT.
From the what? Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
It is Friday in Arizona, a beautiful Friday. We're in the cave. I hope you're out, maybe laying in the grass, listening to us, looking up at the beautiful blue sky that is above our great state of 48 right now. Arizona women's basketball last night lost in double overtime to the Women of Troy from Southern California, 95-93. The third overtime game they have played at home this season. The 5th overall. And the lady who called the game from the analyst chair joins us now, the former head coach of Arizona women's basketball, Joan Bonvincini. And Joan, what did you think of that one last night?
Well, it was a great game. It was, I'm sure for the fans, I mean, it's disappointing Arizona lost, but it was exciting game, played at an elite level. I really thought Arizona had it in regulation along with everyone else, but it was a really good game. I thought Arizona did a great job on Juju Watkins, and unfortunately a couple other players heated up.
I don't know. We were talking with PJ Brown, who writes the beat for the Arizona Daily Star. She said there was a chalk talk before the game. I don't know if you went to that chalk talk, Joan, but apparently one of the assistant coaches kind of drew up in the chalk talk how they were going to try to defend Juju this time around. As a coach, what did you like about the way they went at it?
Well, I think, first of all, I think when you guard anybody, you need to take it personal. And you could say everyone was locked in. Helena Puello was assigned to her, but she got a lot of help. And I think, they faced her the first time, and she had over 30. And I thought even then, I was at that game in L.A., I thought Arizona did a nice job on her. But this time, they just really locked her down. And, to say you lock her down and she still got 20 is really saying something. But Juju's the real deal. And people maybe didn't see all of that. I came from Arizona practice, and there's a WNBA coach there. And I feel the same way. She feels she'd not only be in the WNBA, she'd be starting in the WNBA right now. She's that good.
Wow. Well, since you went to the WNBA, I'll ask you this question now. What are your thoughts on Caitlin Clark's decision to come into the league next season? There was a lot of debate on whether or not she might stay in college with the way NIL is now, and there might be more money for her in college. But the point I made yesterday was I think, that it harkens my mind back to when LeBron James came in the league, and he was making $90 million in endorsements right out of the league. I think it's probably going to be kind of the same thing for Caitlin Clark. It won't matter what her salary is in the WNBA. She's such an endorsable player that her earnings are going to come from that.
Well, I can tell you, WNBA and this coach, they're ecstatic because, again, she's a player who's going to come in. She'll be the first pick. She's going to go to Indiana, and she'll be an impact player right away. She has very good players around her, and so I think she's going to make as much or more as a professional player because she already has a huge amount of endorsements. And I would anticipate that she'll get even more as a professional athlete.
When you look at going back to U of A, when you look at this team right now, is it as easy as saying that a lot of these players, especially these freshmen, have just grown up? I mean, Jada Williams, we can remember the first 2 weeks of the season, she couldn't make a shot. And now she's just knocking down 3-pointers off balance, fading away, and becoming more comfortable. And the same with Skylar Jones. Skylar, I think, admitted on Adia's radio show, or maybe I think it was actually in the post game last night that she couldn't even. There were some just things she couldn't do early on in this season. Right. So is as simple as saying that from November to February, these freshmen have grown up that much that now they're able to make an impact and help you win games?
Well, I think that's the simple way to say it. I think there's a couple things. They're very talented players, but there is an adjustment going from high school to college, and they have to figure things out. I think for both of them, like Skylar had a career high yesterday with 19 points. I think it's just confidence that she knows her coaching staff and her teammates believe in her. But I also think the confidence in yourself. And I think for Jada, she's really impressed me in so many ways. And I agree with you. She struggled to score initially, but she has such confidence in herself. And, she was very upset and disappointed she missed that last shot that would have won the game. But to have that kind of confidence and belief in yourself to even take that shot says a lot about her. I think both of those players, along with the other new players that are on this year's team, I think they are terrific, and they have improved in a very integral part of this Arizona program right now and for the future.
Tough, obviously, game for Esmeri Martinez coming off her performance on the road trip to the Bay Area last week. Just 1 for 6. Obviously got into some foul trouble there last night. But what's the biggest growth you've seen in her this season from what you saw from her the last few?
I think her versatility, I mean, she's much more confident shooting the ball on the perimeter, just smart. I think the thing that really hurt Esmeri last night, because she's been in a zone and played so well last weekend, because she had stitches in her lip from Cal, and she got hit again early in the game in the mouth, and it was they reviewed it and it was not intentional. But I think getting hit, I mean, I think it really hurt her a lot, and I think that just messed up her game a little bit, unfortunately, for yesterday.
Joan Bonvincini is joining us, longtime women's basketball coach here at the University of Arizona, now an analyst with the Pac-12 Network. One more thing on USC, Joan. Juju Watkins, is she the national freshman of the year? I know you said that they said that she could play in the WNBA right now. Do you believe she's the national player of the year? Do you think she'll actually get votes for player of the year behind Caitlin Clark?
I think Juju is the national freshman of the year.
Yeah.
I do think the next best player, and she's a good one too, is a freshman at Notre Dame, Hidalgo. She's really, really good, really good. But I think Juju does everything. Like, she doesn't have any holes in her game. You know, just talking to this WNBA coach, the only thing I think Juju will get better at this, two things. I think she'll become a better defender. And I think as she gets better and higher, more talent around her, her assists will go up. But she's really, really good. Really good. I mean, I loved calling the game. That was only the second time Juju fouled out this year. But and I told Lindsay Gottlieb, the coach at SC, when you have the opportunity to coach a player like that, you probably will never have an opportunity to have a player like that again. So I think she's doing a great job with coaching her, and her teammates love her. When you have a great player, sometimes kids are jealous, and it doesn't come off like that whatsoever at USC.
How do you bounce back from games like that if you're Arizona? I mean, they've had a number of these, obviously, this year.
Yeah, close.
and they seem like they always come on Friday night, and then you got to come back and play again on Sunday. As somebody that's been in that position as a coach, how do you get your kids ready to bounce back?
Well, they're tired. I mean, I'm tired because emotionally, and I called the game. I didn't play the game. And they're tired. But they're doing a walkthrough right now, and they seem pretty locked in. I think this is a thing you just have to do. And, as a player, you have to have, like, I call it selective amnesia. You just got to forget about it and move on. I think the thing they learned, people talk about there's missed calls or, they should have done this. Honestly, in my humble opinion, it came down because the game was won. They needed to box out better the last minute of the game.
Yeah.
And specifically 2 box outs. One off a free throw, and then they allowed the player to get it again and kick it out to Padilla again. And that's how they lost the game. I mean, so those are things that are controllable. And I think that's something they'll focus on. What I've been really impressed with Arizona is I feel like they played their best basketball here down the stretch. I know people have talked about short bench and all this. By far the best chemistry they've had all season. These kids are locked in, playing together, unselfish. They had 21 assists last night. I just think they need to win one more game, whether it's tomorrow against UCLA, which is, UCLA is good enough. They could be going for a national championship. They're a potential Final Four team. Or they need to win a game in the Pac-12 tournament. They need one more win, I believe, to solidify being asked to go play in the NCAA tournament.
You mentioned UCLA as potentially a team that could be in the Final Four. Is it because it just Kiki Rice and Lauren Betts, or maybe who is that additional player that really gives them the shot? Gabriela Jaquez obviously is another one you can put in that conversation.
Well, there's a few of them. You mentioned three. They have a great guard who's a fifth-year player, Charisma Osborne. Really, really good. I mean, she's over 2,000-point scorer. Then you got a sophomore. He's a little player, but big-time three-point shooter is London Jones. I mean, these guys are all first-team All-American out of high school. And then they have a foreign player. Oh, my God, I'm going to say it wrong. I'll have it right tomorrow. Gulich, who's like 6'4", who's really good. And you mentioned Hawkes. She's their sixth player off the bench. But I think they're good, really good. And Betts is the real deal. And so is Kiki Rice. So, for Arizona to beat them, and they played a good game in L.A. against UCLA, I think they're going to have an exceptional performance tomorrow. Exceptional game tomorrow, and but they're capable of doing it. They really are. But you know what? Betts is 6'7", and there's no one close to that on the Arizona squad.
Yeah. Joan, I'm going to ask you, we have a question of the day we have every day. I'm going to ask you our question of the day since you saw quite a few senior days as the head coach of this program. Who maybe was that, maybe one or two players who got the eyes a little bit misty when they walked out on senior day?
That I had, or that I think are going to be misty?
No, that you had, that you had as a coach.
I had a lot. Well, Adia was one. All of them. I mean, it's very emotional because for most players, this may be the last time they ever play. And and to know, that experience you have playing at your university, whether it's 4 years, 5 years, 2 years with all the transfers, I mean, it's special. And I think what Adia has done with the crowds, like last night, there were 7,500. The crowd is involved. And, it's one of the best atmospheres in women's basketball. So and this will be done before the game. I didn't ask Adia because she's normally done it after the game. So I don't know why she changed that. But I think it's going to be very emotional. And there'll be three players coming out. So Elena Puello, whose mom and brother are here from Spain. And then for Esmery Martinez, she has an uncle who's from the Dominican Republic, but he lives in New York. He's coming out. And then Isis Bay hasn't made a decision yet if she's coming back. She has one more year. She's not a real fan of academics, I'll just say that. But she's one of 9 siblings. So she has 9 brothers, and all of them are going to be there along with their mom and dad. It's the first time they've all seen her, play in person, I believe, since she said sophomore in high school.
Yeah. But it was awesome to hear that Puello's mom and brother were able to make it when we had thought that there was not going to be anybody there for her.
Right. I think Sam Thomas is walking her out too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but it is very emotional. And then, because they're doing it ahead of the game, then you got to refocus. So, but I think it's going to be very special. Anytime, like I always hated if I had to go play somewhere and then they had the senior day, it's because everyone's fired up.
Yeah.
So I think that's to Arizona's advantage. And I think the crowd is to their advantage. And even though Arizona lost yesterday in a tough loss, I think they're a hot team, and they're playing their best here down the stretch. So a lot of crazy things have happened, and one was a week ago with Arizona beating Stanford. No one believed that, would ever have thought that would have happened. So you never know. Crazier things have happened.
Joan, are you going to be in Las Vegas?
Unfortunately, I can't go, and here's the last one. But I'll be definitely watching. I know this is going to be a great tournament, and so I'm excited. I'm excited for Dia, but Pac-12 has a lot of good teams, and right now it said I saw the new bracketology that the Pac-12 would have 2 number ones right now, and one would be UCLA, and the other one would be Stanford. But they would have 4 teams in the top 16.
Yeah. Well, it has been the toughest conference for sure all season long. Well, Joan, we'll reach out to you. I'd love to talk to you during the tournament and get your thoughts on what's happening. So we'll reach out to you again next week if possible.
Absolutely. Well, you hopefully get a win here for Arizona. I will be calling the game tomorrow with my broadcast partner, Cindy Brunson. And
all right.
I know it's going to be a great game.
All right. Cindy and Joan on the call tomorrow. Joan, thank you as always.
No problem. Have a great day.
You too. Have a great evening. Joan Bonvincini, longtime women's basketball coach here at the University of Arizona, now an analyst with the Pac-12 Network. Cricket gets you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Rollover wreck, Houghton and Mary Ann Cleveland. Mary Ann Cleveland Way in Houghton for a rollover wreck. Traffic being blocked on Mary Ann Cleveland Way. Collisions reported 29th Street in Wilmot, westbound I-10 at the Rita Road off-ramp, and a crash La Cholla north of Ajo on La Cholla near 44th Street. And for your weather overnight tonight, 48 the low and clear skies, sunny, 76 tomorrow and 71 on Sunday, 76 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Come to Audible and discover the best selection of audiobooks without exception. Bestsellers, new releases, plus podcasts and exclusive Audible originals. You'll find everything you love all in one place. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
DK on the Sports Tip, 3 to 6 weekdays.
So I wore my fancy new Christmas boots that my wife got me.
Ow, it don't hurt.
Got a cramp. See?
Gotta stretch before you do that.
Oh, my hip.
Stop trying to do crazy gymnastics in the studio.
Wildcats Radio 1290.
Tired of dry, itchy skin? Have mineral buildup at every faucet. Ram Plumbing's affordable, green, eco-friendly water softener and alkalized purification systems are built right here in our great state of Arizona and use a fraction of the wastewater as their competitors. Want soft water, non-chlorinated, or the best alkalized drinking water? You can trust Ram Plumbing to be your one-stop shop. Ask about their Water Taste Challenge. 40th year anniversary savings, up to $500 off water systems and $40 off any service. If your plumbing's in trouble, call Ram on the double.
O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Year after year, Lerner Rowe is voted best personal injury law firm in Arizona. You may wonder why. The answer is quite simple. Lerner Rowe is so popular because we give every client excellent service and a superior experience. But also the main reason is results. We've recovered billions of dollars for our clients with over $1 billion collected in the last 5 years alone. Our phone lines are always open and our legal team is standing by right now, waiting for your call.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic.
Or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening. It's kind of like that.
Did you seriously just AeroSeal Gary's mouth?
Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes AeroSeal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that?
Mm-hmm.
What'd he say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
Mm-hmm. It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
Mm-hmm.
Wildcats fans from coast to coast can bring a little bit of Tucson to themselves wherever they happen to be by streaming 1290 on our website at wildcatsradio1290.com. The home of the Wildcats is everywhere. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. DK on the sports tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. 520-848-1290. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. We are with you full show today until 6 o'clock. And then it's weird. It's Friday, but we don't have any women's basketball tonight because the ladies played last night, and obviously they're back at it again tomorrow. It'll be a doubleheader day beginning at 8 a.m. with our coverage of the men's game, leading you up to the Wildcats in Oregon at 12, and then post-game show leading you up to women's basketball tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So a lot of great things happening this week here. So stay with us as we continue to take you all the way through it. Mentioned coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to chat with Taryne Mowatt-McKinley, the pitching coach at Mississippi State, longtime pitching coach here at the University of Arizona, and a two-time national champion softball player here at the University of Arizona. We'll get Taryne's thoughts on her career change, her new job in Starkville, Mississippi, and how I believe from what I saw, the Bulldogs are off to a pretty good start to this season, so things are going well. She's working with Samantha Ricketts, the national champion player with the Oklahoma Sooners down there, who is the head coach. So two pretty decorated softball players that are running that Mississippi State program down there. Ironically, a program that Taryne helped to beat a couple of years ago in the Super Regionals when the Wildcats had that unbelievable run to the World Series. That was a team that probably was not supposed to be in Oklahoma City, but found a way to get there with some great pitching in the regional and super regional by Devin Netz and Hannah Bowen. That was a really fun team to watch that year get to that point and have a chance to play in the World Series. That was Caitlin Lowe's first season as the head coach here at the University of Arizona. So we'll talk to Taryne Mowatt-McKinley about all of that. I'm looking forward to that immensely, hearing from her, J-Dub, and what she's got to say. I mean, again, when you think about players here at the University of Arizona who, there are not too many that have won multiple national championships, and she is one of those few, and even the ones that have, how many have been the lead, for lack of a better term, the lead cat on those national championship teams, and she is in a very short list there of here at the University of Arizona. So again, one of the more decorated Wildcats you're going to find here that not only played here, but had a successful run as a coach here too. So
she was throwing no hitters and hitting home runs, right?
Yeah.
So
she had a little bit of offensive power. She could pick up a bat.
She hit a home run in the World Series.
Yeah.
Tell me if you're a pitcher and you hit a home run in the World Series, because that's going to be against the best pitching you could face in the country.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember her being very unhittable during that stretch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many names, DK, to list in the history of Arizona softball, and she certainly stands out that era as being one of the greatest to ever do it, honestly, at the U of A.
All right, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. We want to give you some shout-outs today. We mentioned we had Andy Morales on yesterday. The 4A state championship basketball games were held last night up in Phoenix. The South Point Catholic girls came out winners over Mesquite, so they win their second title in the last 3 years. So congratulations to the Lancer ladies for bringing home yet another gold basketball. That's what we like to hear. And then, unfortunately, the boys from Saguaro came up a little bit short, losing by 2 points in their ball game to Deer Valley. Deer Valley had beaten them a few weeks ago in the Open Division first round, and the two teams both playing in the Open Division ending up back in the state championship game on the boys' side. And once again, Deer Valley came out on top. It's the first state championship for Deer Valley, so they had not ever won one. They are now raising a gold basketball for themselves. 63-61 was the final at the Arizona Veterans Memorial Coliseum, the longtime former home of the original Phoenix Suns back in the day. So basketball season is now officially over for Southern Arizona. On the high school side, we can now shift our attention to the spring sports: baseball, softball, track and field, all that good stuff.
Golf?
No, golf's a fall sport here. They play golf in the fall. I think they may play in the spring no, I think it's a fall sport all throughout the entire state. I know some of the schools up in the northern part of the state play soccer in the fall versus in the winter, because obviously you can't play soccer right now in like Flagstaff because it's cold.
It's cold.
it's cold when they're not playing soccer in Flagstaff. It's cold here sometimes when they're playing soccer. Arizona baseball is opening up a series weekend at the Frisco Classic. And we mentioned they played the other night against TCU, and that was the number 5 team in the country. And all 3 of their games at the Frisco Classic are against ranked opponents as well. So 4 straight games against 4 straight ranked opponents for the Arizona baseball team, who was 4-5 after their loss to TCU. They're playing Dallas Baptist today. And unfortunately, they were up in this game 3-2. It has just gone final as Dallas Baptist scored a pair of runs in the 8th inning to come back and beat Arizona by a score of 4-3. So Wildcats now 0-2 on their trek down to Texas. Jackson Kent, the Friday night starter, got the ball today, 5 1/3 innings, allowed 2 earned runs, did strike out 7 batters. They've lost a couple of games this year because the bullpen just has not been able to lock up those final outs. See how many times and the Wildcats, once again, we mentioned they struck out 19 times. Against TCU, they struck out 17 times in the game today. That is clearly an issue with this particular ball club. Andrew Kane, the designated hitter, took the collar, 4 strikeouts and 4 at-bats. Emilio Corona, who's expected, obviously, he's the cleanup hitter, struck out 3 times and 4 at-bats. So
that's the one position I don't think you mind a lot of strikeouts from, though, right?
Well, it depends. Not necessarily.
It depends where the DH is hitting. I'm talking about the DH at 4 or cleanup hitter at 4. Generally, if you're looking for power from there, I think over the, watching baseball from afar, you're much more, intertwined with baseball than I am. But I've seen a lot of guys over the years who are pretty strikeout happy at that spot. You know who else came really close to pulling off a victory but didn't quite? DK? Your USC Trojans. Did you watch that game last night?
Oh, yes.
So they had an 11-point lead over the Washington State Cougars, which obviously matters to Arizona fans because that's the race for the men's side in the Pac-12, final season of the Pac-12. Ended up losing by 3 points down the stretch. They had a 1-point lead with 2 minutes to go, and Mr. Wells did it again.
Jalen Wells
made some shots down the stretch, and the Cougars pulled that one out to stay within half a game.
But they got 5 threes from, I think it was Isaiah Watts hit like 5 threes in that game. the career high for him. So it's always that guy that you don't anticipate to beat you that beats you.
So Jalen Wells goes 1 for 2. He only took 2. I mean, how many did he shoot against Arizona?
Yeah,
I think it was like
exactly.
5 for 8 or something like that. He only took 2 in this game. And Watts off the bench, 5 for 6.
That is insane. So Washington State keeps pace. We'll get you the full. Do you have all the scores from last night over there right now?
I did have it in front. Yes, I do.
Okay, so let the folks know what
USC
happened.
falls to Washington State, 75-72. Stanford loses to Utah, 90-68. And I don't know if you saw the video of Mick Cronin, but he was not a happy boy because
I heard about it, but
the Bruins got blown out, 94-77 to the Washington Huskies.
Nah, I heard there was a lot of yelling outside or a lot of yelling could be heard outside of the locker room after the game.
There was a video I saw, a quick clip of him stepping into a player's face with purpose, with a very angry scowl on his face in the middle of the game during a timeout. So he's not very happy. They obviously, have so many young players on that team. I don't think anybody expected them to be great out of the gates, but they had been playing well these last, 10, 15 games, but they've lost 3 in a row, DK. So faltering towards the end.
Yikes. We mentioned Arizona baseball down at the Frisco Classic. They've got games tomorrow and Sunday. They'll play number 16 Alabama tomorrow, and then they'll wrap up play against 20th ranked Indiana on Sunday. Speaking of Arizona versus Alabama, that is on the women's docket tonight as the ladies of the Diamond are down at the Crimson Classic in Tuscaloosa, and they will take on the Alabama Crimson Tide as well. So that game is scheduled to first pitch at 8 o'clock our time this evening. Arizona comes into the week. I believe they are still ranked number 22 in the country, and they will face the Alabama Crimson Tide. Their game against Northern, and there may be some weather down there, apparently. Their game actually this morning was canceled against Northern Iowa. They're supposed to play Northern Iowa this morning. That game was canceled. And the game against Alabama is scheduled actually to start, it says 8. Oh, I think that's what happened. They pushed it back. It was initially supposed to be played at 5:30, but they've pushed it back to 8 o'clock our time. So hoping to get that game in tonight. We'll keep you posted on if that's going to happen. They're scheduled to play Alabama twice, is Arizona. They'll play them tonight, and then they'll come back and play them again tomorrow at 2:30. Also games against Northern Iowa on Saturday later in the day, and one game on Sunday against South Alabama.
It's still crazy for me to think that the Wildcats had 5 national championships. They had won 5 before Alabama played their first season of college softball.
Is that right?
Yeah, they didn't start playing. A lot of SEC teams didn't field softball teams. 97 was Alabama's first season.
Jeez. Wow. And yep, now they've got a bunch of teams that are
they
capable
put so
of
much
winning national championships.
And kudos to them. I know there was they really were hardliners on giving money to a lot of the female sports in the SEC for many decades, but over the past 20 years, you've obviously seen the results. They've definitely changed their tune on that. So kudos to them for that.
All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather. Here is Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Overturned vehicle at Houghton and Mary Ann Cleveland Way. Expect backups and restrictions. Mary Ann Cleveland Way in Houghton. Other collisions at Campbell and River Road, Prince Road, and Oracle. 29th Street and Wilmot. Westbound I-10 at the Rita Road off-ramp. Also a crash that occurred on La Cholla, north of Ajo on La Cholla, near 44th Street. 48 are low, clear skies tonight, sunny 76 tomorrow, 71 on Sunday, and 76 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by eBay Motors. eBay Motors is here for the ride with the parts you need for the prices you want. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply.
Hi, you know me, Scott Lehman from ScottSaysYes.com. Check out this month's Wildcats Radio 1290 Community Calendar powered by Premier Auto Center.
Visit the Wildcats Radio 1290 community calendar at wildcatsradio1290.com to find out what community events are coming up in the Tucson area. You can also find Wildcats Radio 1290 events, upcoming sporting events, and more. Get the details and get involved with our community at wildcatsradio1290.com.
Go to ScottSaysYes.com today.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except the stuffy nose.
Mommy.
That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Hey, it's David Kelly. Do you know the radio is not the only place to find Wildcats Radio 1290? You can stream us by downloading our 1290 app.
A deep three is good, and the Cats are on top.
We're also available on the iHeartMedia and Odyssey apps, or head to our website, wildcatsradio1290.com.
Touchdown, Cats.
We're even on Alexa. Just ask her to put on Wildcats Radio 1290 so you never miss any of Southern Arizona's most important and in-depth conversation.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
My life coach has a terrible life.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
I use memes as a coping mechanism.
At Mattress Firm, we know the right mattress matters. While supplies last, save up to 50% on select Temper-Adapt floor models. All with free and fast delivery. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Arizona Complete Health means more than health insurance to me. They're my healthcare partner. We get the care we need from doctors we choose, and even earn rewards for healthy things we're already doing. And with Marketplace, Medicaid, and Medicare options, I have coverage to protect my family's health wherever life takes us.
Arizona Complete Health, a plan for life. Visit planforlifeaz.com to find coverage that works for you.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Call us or text us at that number. It was a good Thursday night for your Phoenix Suns.
And Green, last couple of possessions, maybe trying to do a little too much.
Yeah, Suns got numbers here.
Two-man advantage. Booker rising up, gets inside left hand. He'll get the finish and the foul with that one.
To help your teammate, but it's another to leave your team compromised on the other end. He'll get up. He was spending so much time.
35 points for Devin Booker, and things got a little bit testy between these two teams.
And it's a 6-point game. Booker squares and fires and rips the cord as Whitmore and Booker having words. And the rookie Whitmore exchanging blows with Devin Booker.
Well, Whitmore saying he's not taking it. Well, I mean, it's between the lines. You're playing ball. And Rocket's been talking junk all day. Devin talked a little. Just talk junk. Don't get offended because he knocked the three down on you.
Well, this was a group that talked a lot Friday night in the win, and Book had a rough shooting night. He was 7 of 24.
And there was a lot of chirping coming from Whitmore and Thompson, the two rookies in particular, on Devin Booker.
Yeah, and look, they both were going at it, and I think it's going to be basically
what you do about
double text.
Yeah, the call last night, courtesy of AT&T Sportsnet. It's going to be, these two teams are going to play again on Sunday, or Saturday, I should say. It's going to be the third time they've played in about a week and a half. So apparently they already don't like each other. But Devin Booker, 35 points and 7 rebounds and a 110-105 win for the Suns over the Rockets in one of those weird kind of back-to-back games. They're playing both of these games in Phoenix this week. Suns shot 13 of 37 from 3 in the game. Rockets shot 11 of 45 three-pointers in that contest after the game. So second straight win for the Suns. That's a good thing for them as they try to rebound off their their not so good road trip down to Texas, and they'll get the Rockets again on Saturday. But who's Cam Whitmore that he thinks he can be talking to Devin Booker?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to come at the rookies come into the league, DK, and they go out the guys they've been seeing on TV their whole lives, right? He's 19 years old. So, he's trying to make a name for himself. He's a very, very good player out of Villanova.
Have some respect.
But yeah, I just think overall that organization, they're 25 and 34 on the year. They got some good young talent. Jalen Green, if you've been paying attention, has been benched in fourth quarters. That's their guy. They've basically is the foundation for their organization moving forward. Very athletic young shooting guard. But he's been a little bit too turnover-prone, mistake-prone, so they haven't even been playing him down the stretch. But the guy to really watch on that team is Sengun. Have you seen that guy play?
No.
Yeah, he's basically mini Joker.
Oh, Alperen Sengun?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So he is, 21 years old, very similar to Nikola Jokic's style of basketball. Huge dude. So, yeah, he's fun to watch. Rockets, not a great team this year. I think it's a little bit of frustration boiling over more than anything because they've had a bad stretch here lately.
How about Bol, though? He's been playing well.
Bol's always played well, as long as he's been able to stay on the court because he's had fatigue issues mostly and injury issues. But when he's always, even back to his Oregon days, we watched him, even back to high school, we followed Bol. I love to see that he's getting time. And in an era where you're talking about Chet and Wemby, who went at it again last night. By the way, Wemby became the first player ever to do another thing last night. I think it was 25 points, 10 boards, 5 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 made threes. Nobody's ever done that before. That happened. So in an era of Wemby and Chet, Bol, right, you better get Bol out there, being a 7'5" shooting guard because that's pretty popular right now. I have a crazy stat for you. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I read this today, Devin Booker, in his entire career, is 0 for 37 when he has 6 made three-pointers in a game. So his six made three-pointers, his career high is 6 he's made in a game. And every time he's gotten 2-6 in a game, he's missed the next shot 37 consecutive times.
Wow.
Not that stat means anything, but I read that today. I was like, what? First of all, I was shocked that 6 was his career high because he's one of the better shooters in the NBA. But, yeah.
Also, we may see some history in the league tonight, J-Dub.
Yeah, Mr. LeBron James, you might have heard of him. He is 8 points shy, last I checked, something like that, of passing 40,000 points. So nobody's ever done that. Obviously, we heard him earlier in the year pass Kareem for the all-time scoring record, and he is on the verge, DK, of being the first player ever to score 40,000 points.
Wow.
In the NBA. 9 points away.
Jeez, so that'll happen tonight for sure.
Yeah, he was asked about it, and this is what Mr. LeBron had to say.
40,000 mean anything to you?
I mean, I can't sit here and say no, because I mean, of course, I mean, no one has ever done it, and for me to be in this position at this point in time in my career, I think it's pretty cool. Does it sit like at one of the top of my, things I've done in my career? No, but does it mean something? Of course, absolutely. Why wouldn't it? To be able to accomplish things in this league.
That is LeBron James talking about winning or the chance to score over 40,000 points. I mean, it's crazy to think I don't know. It just seems like he came into the league yesterday. When
That's
I was
the
still
weird
living
thing,
in
yeah.
Cleveland, but it has been that long. It has been that long.
Yeah, I mean, and the general, not for this is the best term, but lifespan of a athlete, right? I mean, the time that an athlete goes from high school to their end of their professional career, DK, is such a short window of time. Like you take for granted, especially in leagues like the NFL, right? You're going from being a freshman in high school to ending your professional career as an athlete within 15 years. LeBron seems like he's been on, the landscape of sports since he was 15. Right. So we're talking about the last 25 years and it's gone by fast. I mean, I remember watching LeBron as a sophomore, I believe it was, when they had nationally televised games. What was his school you went to?
St. Vincent, St. Mary.
Vincent, St. Mary's. Yeah. I remember those games and the hype was real. I mean, that dude is the craziest athlete I ever saw play in high school. So now that he's come this far, it's just I think you hear the stories that he spends $1 million a year on his body, oxygen chambers or whatever else, a lot of professional athletes do to keep themselves going. And clearly it's money well spent because nobody's been as durable as he has. In order to get to those kind of milestones, you have to play in the games, DK. And I think, he's got, 4 times as many playoff games as the second person? I mean, because they changed the rules and they had extended some of the earlier rounds playoffs. Some of the records he has will probably never be broken as far as longevity and games played and all that stuff. But, yeah, 40K is just an insane number.
We'll see if he can get there. Indeed, it's going to be something to see. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. We are asking our question of the day today. We've had a few responses to that. It is Senior Day tomorrow at McHale Center for both the men and the women. And the men will go at noon, the women at 6. And I asked, who is that player? Who is that player who got your eyes a little bit misty when they walked out there on Senior Day? Bonnie Stull checks in on Twitter. She says, Helena. And Helena hasn't even walked out yet. Bonnie's already crying because Helena is going to play her final game at McHale Center tomorrow. And I know I have been hard on Helena at times, but make no mistake, I have enjoyed watching that young lady play for the last 5 years here at the University of Arizona.
I've never heard you say anything being hard on her for something she was doing. It was more that she wasn't shooting as much as you would like to see, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Sue Alexander on Twitter checks in. Smiling Sam Thomas still brings smiles to my heart. That was a tough one, too, man. When Sam walked out there a few years ago, again, and the thing about Sam, and again, she wasn't the best player on those teams. She wasn't the best player on that national championship team, but Sam was like everywhere. Like, I'll never forget. I don't know if I've told this story I've never told it on radio. I'll never forget. I walked in. It might have actually been, it might have been a doubleheader day at Arizona. I think the women might have played a day game and the men were playing at night. Maybe 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I'll never forget, I walked into the media gate, and they used to have a table there where you would sign in, and who was sitting at the table? Working the table for the men's game.
Right.
Sam Thomas. And I said to myself, what are you doing here? You are a star on the women's basketball team, and you're working like this table to sign in media coming to the men's game? Could not believe it. I was like, wow, this is one impressive young lady right here.
I think that says it all. I think the people who buy into, the whole is so much bigger than yourself. That whole idea of the community. We've heard the players on this men's basketball team this year, when they talk about the community, they talk about the fans, they talk about doing it for Tucson. Anybody in the history of Arizona athletics who, doesn't matter what sport you're playing, who comes from that philosophy, DK, where you're really about giving back. And that story you just told, to me, just sounds like, I'm not so big, I'm not so famous that I can't sit down and help my friend out who clearly can't be here right now. Otherwise, why would she be there doing that?
I mean, she did it all. That's why they let her catch a pass in the spring football game. I mean, she would work the chains, I can remember seeing her down on the chain gang. I mean, she was everywhere. She did everything. I mean, that's, to me, if you're a student athlete, that's what you want. I mean, she was leader of the student athletes council, whatever they call it, the athletic council, the academic council. She was the president of that. I mean, she did everything. She got every single ounce out of her experience here at the University of Arizona. And that's why, man, when you see someone who puts all of that in there to really do the experience the right way, those are the type of players that'll get you misty on senior day for sure.
I will say the most misty senior day I ever personally experienced was 88. And there's a good reason for that. It's because when student athletes come, you hear often stories of, father figures, mother figures among the coaching staff and the administration who help young people grow to become men and women. Well, I was at the moment of silence when Dr. Malcolm Kerr was assassinated, and the McHale crowd that day and forevermore embraced and adopted Steve Kerr as their son. I mean, it was a group, the entire group. I was there for a lot of that, DK, many of those games. And I remember, obviously, anytime Steve made a shot, the crowd would go crazy. But I remember that senior day, I think it was Tolbert and Kerr and McMillan. I'm probably forgetting a few people, but I remember Steve Kerr. I remember the entire crowd, and it's for that very reason. It's really more of a family thing. And that was probably the most emotional I saw at McHale when a player was leaving and playing their final game.
I would put some other people for me, Nick Johnson, on that list. I remember the first time I talked to Nick Johnson, I said, man, the media day his freshman year, I was like, where did they get this kid? I mean,
Soldiers.
Media day on his freshman year, and he killed it.
It was the Soldiers, because the Soldiers, like for the 3 years before he got here, were so popular, and they got interviewed weekly at any kind of AAU event. The Soldiers were rock stars, and he was a part of that for he and Aaron Gordon and the other. I'm trying to think. There was another guy who was meant to come here, and I think he ended up going. It doesn't matter. The Soldiers teams, the Oakland Soldiers teams, were so popular, DK, in that stretch where I think Nick Johnson came in media savvy because he'd already had a microphone put in front of him when he was 15, 16, 17 before he got on campus.
Great stuff. Great stuff. We'll read some more. We've got a few more. We'll read some more of your answers to the question of the day. Who is that Arizona basketball player, male or female, whose eyes got you a little bit misty when they walked across that floor at McHale on senior day? You can head on over to our Twitter account, Wildcats1290. You can text us at 520-848-1290. You can head on over to our Facebook account, Wildcats Radio 1290. We've got the ability for you to answer that question and put in your thoughts on all of those social media platforms as we take you to 6 o'clock this evening. 520-848-1290. It is DK on the Sports Tip. Cricket will be back with us in the 5 o'clock hour with more great things for you to do here on what looks like it's going to be another great weather weekend in southern Arizona. JW Madden's here. I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Slowing on westbound I-10 near Alvernon Way, eastbound I-10 slowing approaching the Ajo-Kino connection. Reported collisions for Houghton and Mary Ann Cleveland Way, overturned vehicle, Prince Road and Oracle, Campbell and River, Roger Road and Fairview, Country Club north of Speedway, Pantano and 5th Street, Glen and Country Club, and also Ajo Way east of Mission. And for your weather, overnight, 48 the low, clear skies, sunny, 76 tomorrow, 71 on Sunday, and 76 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Good to know. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
This is Jim Rome with your Rome Report. Shout out to all my pals in San Antonio. What's going on? How y'all living right now? Wait, I know, like absolute bosses. Because last night in San Antonio, the first game in front of Spurs fans in 26 days, Wemby went straight Wemby. my man went off and did so against fellow Rookie of the Year candidate Chet Holmgren and Chet's OKC Thunder. What a matchup that was. We're already used to Wemby doing things that have not been done, but last night he went next level with it. The Spurs win that game going away, but Wemby went 25, 10, 5, 5 blocks, and 5 3-point shots made. He's already doing things at age 20 that have never been done by anybody in the history of the game. He's that good, that special, that unique, that much of a unicorn. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app. I like playing on PrizePicks. So do the members of the XR4TI. You could win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. There are hundreds of players from more than a dozen sports to choose from. Pick one and choose more or less on their next performance. Download the PrizePicks app right now and use the code ROME for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code ROME, ROME, on the PrizePicks app. PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit PrizePicks.com for restrictions and details.
O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic.
Or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening. It's kind of like that.
Did you seriously just AeroSeal Gary's mouth?
Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes AeroSeal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that? What'd he say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
This season, the Cats will take on the Bruins, the Ducks, the Trojans, the Beavers, the Utes, the Buffs, the Huskies, the Cougs, the Cardinal, the Bears, and the School up north on Wildcats Radio 1290. It's the final season of Pac-12 women's basketball. Tune in this Saturday as Adia Barnes and the Wildcats welcome the 8th-ranked UCLA Bruins for their final Pac-12 trip to McHale Center.
Yes, that's awesome.
Tip-off is at 6 p.m. only on Wildcats Radio 1290.
My heat and air were in a state of disrepair.
If there's a hot spot in your house, you may have leaky ductwork. The Department of Energy says 95% of homes do. Those leaks can pull in dirt and humidity. I'm Ron Arenas, the owner of Picture Rocks Cooling. Ask how we can tackle those leaky ducts and keep cool air in and dirt and humidity out with AeroSeal. Call Picture Rocks at 520-440-4069.
Picture Rocks Cooling, heating and plumbing.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona men's basketball, along with all the play-by-play action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what? Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Final hour of the program on a Friday, final show of the week. But of course, we're not done with you. We've got you all day tomorrow because there's going to be a whole lot of basketball. Double the senior days. Final home game for Arizona men's basketball against the Oregon Ducks. U of A will look to keep pace and stay in first place in the Pac-12 conference after Washington State came back to beat Southern California at home last weekend. They will take on the very upset UCLA Bruins tomorrow in Pullman, Washington. And then after Arizona and Oregon here, it'll be the Arizona women's basketball team completing their regular season against said Bruins from UCLA, the number 7 team, or actually they're the number 8 team in the country. They're actually 8. Southern California came in here at number 7. But as you heard Joan Bonvincini tell you, she believes that the Bruins are a Final Four team and will likely be one of 2, although there is a bracketology right now that says that UCLA women's basketball and Stanford women's basketball will likely both be number 1 seeds on the women's side.
Well, currently, net ranking, which is, what the tournament committee uses.
Net, baby.
Is South Carolina, UConn, Stanford, Texas, Iowa, UCLA. So 6th currently. They don't really do quad stuff in the women's net rankings. But, yeah, they got UCLA at 6th. There's so many bracketologists these days, DK. How do you keep them?
Well, and I don't know, did you read, I don't know if you caught Joe Lenardi's long diatribe this week about I guess there is a thing out there right now that people believe that the Big 12, I think they were gaming the system or something like that.
Well, what they said was, I didn't read the article, but I know the facts behind it, which is that the Big 12 has the 31st out of 32 conferences, non-conference strength of schedule.
Right.
They're 31st as a Power 5 conference. That I think they're 18 points behind the other Power 5 conferences, but it's a little dicey when you look at it because last year I think they were 18th. So gaming, I think the situation, it's like the SEC in football. When the SEC in football has 8 teams ranked in the top 25 to start the year, but one of those teams ends up going 4-10 on the season or 3-9 on the season, it doesn't matter because every loss that team had, the team that beat them gets a huge boost because they were ranked so high to start the year, that whole thing. And we all know the Big 12 is dominant in basketball. There's so many great programs there. I think the question becomes, if you don't play the Dukes and North Carolinas of the world, the Arizonas, the Connecticut's, if you don't go outside your conference and challenge the top teams, don't challenge themselves against some of the other top teams around the country, then did you really earn that net ranking so high when there's no relative comparison to see that you played against some of the other better teams in the country?
And flipping back over to the women's basketball side, I thought it was interesting. We chatted with Joan Bonvincini, and she talked about the crowd last night at McHale Center. It was 7,000. So obviously, we had talked earlier in the week. We were hoping to maybe we could get 10,000 in the building. That did not happen. And even Adia shouted out the crowd after the game and thanked them and all of that. But I walked out of the building. I'm going to be, me, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought the crowd sucked last night at McHale Center. I was extremely disappointed, especially in the final 5 minutes when that team needed those people to be loud. And I sent out a tweet. I said, you're up 7 points or whatever it was. I think they were up 5 points or something against the number 7 team in the country with 4 minutes to go. And people were sitting on their hands. I'm like, if we make a basket right now, people, this is it. You've got a chance to upset the number 7 team in the country. You need to be on your feet for the final 4 minutes of that game. I was really, really aggravated with the 7,400 whatever people that were in that building last night that could have helped those 7 young women pull off the biggest win of the season and probably assure themselves of a berth in this NCAA tournament. which some bracketologists have them on the bubble, some bracketologists have them in the tournament, and some bracketologists have them as the Final Four out of the tournament. That was an opportunity because I don't know if and even Adia had said before, our best opportunity probably to steal this win this weekend is against USC. That's probably your best chance. And you had it there at the fingertips, and I thought the 7,400 people who were in the building last night let those young ladies down at the end of that game. Yeah, they were loud, but you should have been louder. You should when I got to go back to the sheet, but somebody made a basket, and I'm thinking to myself, everybody needs to be on their feet right now. Right now. And they weren't. And so, great for Adia to shout out the crowd for being there. Great for Joan Bonvincini to shout out the crowd for showing up 7,400. And yeah, we've got, that I guess we probably will lead the attendance on the women's side as well this year. But I was disappointed last night that it wasn't louder when those young women needed it to be loud. And USC was making their run to try to force overtime. So be better tomorrow at 6 o'clock, please. I know you'll be fine at noon, but be better. For those of you that are coming back at 6 o'clock tomorrow, those 8 young women, I don't want to leave Brooklyn out of it, those 8 young women need you to be loud tomorrow. And not just and the entire time. The entire time. So please do that for those young women tomorrow. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Chris checks in on the text groove. Question of the day, who is that Arizona basketball player, male or female, who left your eyes a little bit misty, got your eyes a little bit misty when they walked on? And no, there's been no players on the women's side named Misty. But who was that player that got the eyes misty when they walked across the floor on senior day? Chris checks in and says, when Kate Reese and Sam Thomas went through their senior day, I had tears. Now the same will happen with Helena and Ismeri. There have been so many throughout the years, but TJ McConnell sticks out as well. I love them all like they're my kids, and it's sad when they leave the nest, though it's great to see them continue to mature and blossom wherever they plant themselves. And it's great when you see players come back to McHale Center. She also throws in Lute Olson's grandson was a beloved walk-on as well, Matt Brazzi. He's one of my originals as well, yeah. Matt Brazzi and Brett Bromeyer. That was another one of my originals on, I think all three of those guys were on the same senior day. If I'm not mistaken, Brazzi, Bromeyer, and Baga.
Could be.
Yeah, I believe that might have been that. I think they were all seniors in 2009.
To her point, I think the part there about coming back, like we're going to see that tomorrow with Kenny Lofton, right? I mean,
yeah.
You talk about the adulation that the McHale crowd gives to current players, but when 15, 20 years go by, DK, and you're in the middle of maybe of a halftime or during a commercial break or whatever, and they bring out one of the former players to that, the smiles on their face, it's like going back in time, right? You've obviously lived this full life, maybe had kids or family of your own, and come back to McHale, and those memories of being an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old in that building. I love to see the former players come back, especially if they don't come back regularly, right? Just to experience, that crowd. There's just a genuine love there. This is a college basketball town first and foremost, and it's been that way my whole life. So watching players come back and really soaking in the cheers and having all those old faces that they might have. There's still a lot of people around campus who might have been there since the time they were there. That's one of my favorite things about this time of year, seeing some of the older players come back.
Absolutely, it is. Always fun. And it's going to be really cool to see Kenny Lofton back. A buddy of mine who lives out here, who's also from Cleveland, says he might have. He said, I might have to wear Indians gear to the park to McHale tomorrow in celebration of Kenny.
After we had the interview yesterday with him, I had to go back and explain to Paige who Kenny Lofton is. So I showed him some highlights, and the one that we stumbled upon was a home run, 5 stolen bases, 2 bunt singles, and a 11th inning walk-off home run. I mean, like, Kenny didn't exactly, and you know why Kenny Lofton isn't talked about more? Ricky Henderson. I mean, because they played in the same era. If Ricky took up all the air out of the room, DK. I mean, you know better than anybody, and we don't need to get into the travesty of Hall of Fame voting or any of that stuff too. But you know, Kenny Lofton was such a menace, and that game alone, just being able to show Paige that. How dominant he would have these stretches where he did it all. And, you know, leading it off, being that guy to get on base, and before you know it, before there's one out in the inning, you've already got the Indians have already got, you know, a run on the board because Kenny Lofton just could not be contained. Just so dominant.
Head on over to our website, wildcatsradio1290.com. If you missed our conversation with Kenny Lofton, you can find it there in our on-demand section. Cricket rejoins us now.
Hi.
It is officially happy hour on Friday.
Oh, is it?
Cricket.
Yes.
Do you have a happy hour spot that you like to go to?
I haven't been for so long, but I would probably pick like the Trident.
I was going to guess.
Surprise.
I was going to guess.
Surprise. What about you guys?
So which have we established which Trident you go to? Because you know there's 4 now. Well, I'm sorry, there's back to being 3 because they closed the 3rd one over on Craycroft and by St. Joseph's Church.
There's also a Trident pizza pub. Did you know that right at the corner right by the
No.
U? At
Where?
Campbell and 6th Street. It's in that shopping center. I think there's like a hair salon there, but there's the Trident Pizza Pub.
Okay.
Did I ever tell you the story of Trident?
Oh, well, I want to hear this.
So I was working at Frog and Firkin in the mid-'90s, and the SEALs came through because they were doing jump training out of Marana, and they would transfer through. There's 3 major groups, and they would come through, cycle through 3 times a year.
Like U.S. Navy SEALs?
Navy SEALs, yeah. Okay. So the Navy SEALs jump training in Marana, and Nelson was among them. Big dude, like 6'3", 240, and he used to come to Frog because Frog was a SEAL bar. We had a Trident above our bar. And I used to play $1,000 games of pool with Nelson all the time, and he would front it because whatever. It was just for fun. But when Frog's ownership, as the time I was winding down being there, they decided to put up for sale, Nelson, my roommate, who was this group of A10 people, they put bids in, and they were going to buy Frog and Firkin. And when that fell through, he founded Trident. And that's where Trident came from. So Nelson, original guy, he and his group anyway. But yeah, they used to hang out with us quite a bit right before he built the original one there on
what's Nelson's last
Speedway.
Miller.
Miller. Yeah.
Now, does he still lives here? Or?
Yeah, last I checked.
Well, we got to get him on the show, J-Dub. You're telling the story.
I haven't talked to him in so
Nelson
long,
Miller on the show, so we got to have him in studio so he can tell the story about how.
Yeah, he's a good dude. They're all good dudes.
How he founded Trident and it became a legendary place to hang out and
to get cricket,
drink and watch games. And,
drink
on happy hour. If he can get cricket there, there you go.
It's those burgers, those little 2-pound burgers.
All right, so campus or 2? Have you been to 2?
I've been to all.
Okay,
Come on now.
Okay,
but I do prefer. I call it the OG, the first Trident, right by the U of A. Yeah, that's my
old
jam.
A-frame.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna have to come because Swan is ours. Because we live right down the street from that, so you'll have to come hang out and have a drink with us at Swan sometime.
I've been to that one several times, kind of recently.
Sit on the patio on a nice evening.
Yes.
All right. What else is happening this weekend, Cricket?
Well, there is a Friday night concert tonight at Steam Pump Ranch with a classic rock cover band, Your Money's Worth. It starts at 6 tonight. And you wanted outdoor things.
What do they play? What do they play?
Classic rock.
Oh, classic rock.
So like probably what you'd hear on our sister station, 107.5. Tonight and tomorrow, Jazz Under the Stars at Tohono Chul. You wanted some outdoor stuff, so I'm trying.
Thank you.
Free First Saturday at Valley of the Moon. This might be fun for the kids tomorrow, 1 to 3. You can like pack a lunch and, maybe chat with like a mythological creature, a fairy or something.
What's your favorite mythological creature?
I want to say something like kind of scary, like a dragon or something.
That's a good one.
Yeah, kind of,
I have
fire.
to think about that. I like the guys from Fraggle Rock. Does that count?
It could. It certainly could. And also tomorrow, it is Safety Day, 10 to 2 at the Tucson Mall. Free helmets and booster seats while supplies last. And there's going to be a ton of public agencies. There's like fire trucks, police cars, SWAT, ambulance, choppers, drones. And canine demonstrations, which means they're going to turn the dogs loose and they're going to bite somebody.
Oh boy!
No, not just somebody. Not just somebody. I mean, it's like it's controlled and there's a decoy. No, it's
come on down and get bit by a dog.
Yeah, no, I don't mean that.
The bad guy.
The bad guy is going to be dressed up,
or the good guy that has the big thing on his arm,
right?
So the dog can bite him.
They'll put that guy in the
so
full
now this
body
is helmets for kids and bikes and kind of thing.
Yes, helmets and booster seats. Only while supplies last. Tucson Mall tomorrow, 10 to 2.
Well, have a great weekend, Cricket.
Thank you. You too.
And she now is taking you home, getting you to wherever you need to go on this beautiful Friday evening.
And from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together with some slowing westbound I-10 approaching Ruthroff, also eastbound I-10 approaching and passing Ajo Kino. Collisions, Golf Links in Harrison, Miracle Mile and Flowing Wells. Ajo east of Mission slowing at that intersection and an earlier overturned vehicle at Houghton and Mary Ann Cleveland Way. 48 and clear tonight, sunny 76 tomorrow and 71 on Sunday and 76 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com. Play social games online for free. Head to ChumbaCasino.com now to join the Chumba fun and experience the thrill of the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void or prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Not all sports stations are built the same way. 1290 has Wildcats football, men's basketball, and baseball, plus the NFL and the Super Bowl. Tucson trusts 1290. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
My life coach has a terrible life.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
I use memes as a coping mechanism.
At Mattress Firm, we know the right mattress matters. While supplies last, save up to 50% on select Tempur-Adapt floor models. All with free and fast delivery. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Wildcat fans, join head coach Adia Barnes and the Arizona women's basketball team in McKale Center this season. Single game tickets start as low as $17 and are available for purchase now. You won't want to miss the fierce competition coming to Arizona. Tickets are available at ArizonaWildcats.com/WBK. Arizona women's basketball. Let's pack McKale Center.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic.
Or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening.
It's kind of like that.
Did you seriously just aeroseal Gary's mouth?
Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes AeroSeal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that? What'd he say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
Tucson, it's time for the Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, March 8th through the 10th. Now at La Paloma Country Club and the Westin La Paloma Resort and Spa. See some of golf's greatest players compete for the coveted Conquistadors Helmet Trophy. It's PGA Tour Champions Golf at its finest. And Friday night, under the stars, see Midland and Roger Klein and the Peacemakers live in concert at Rito Park. The Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, benefiting colorectal cancer awareness in youth sports. Tickets and more at CologuardClassic.com.
Listen to the home of the Wildcats wherever you are on your iPhone and iPad by downloading our new app in the App Store so you can tune in wherever you are 24 hours a day. The home of the Wildcats is everywhere. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. Marty had a question on the text groove. He wanted to know who the Wildcats' all-time leading scorer in the NBA was, and in fact,
Gotta be Jet,
is
right?
Huh?
JT.
Jason
Yeah, it's got to be.
Terry.
He played the longest, and he had the most consistency. There were other guys, obviously, who struck hotter, like Gill. But, yeah, I think Jason Terry has been and will be atop of that list for some time.
18,881 career points for Jason Terry. All right, Arizona women's basketball lost last night in double overtime to the USC Women of Troy. We've been talking about this a lot today. I want you to hear the comments from Adia Barnes and some of her players after what was a very, very tough loss, a game that got away from them. They were up 10 points and fell by 2 in overtime.
We battled a really good team, number 7 team in the country. Took them in the 2 overtimes and had chances to win. You know, I'm not upset at all. I'm disappointed in the loss, but our kids played their hearts out. We basically played 6 players. I mean, they played the whole entire game. She played 50 minutes. She played 49:04. They battled. They never gave up. We made some mistakes. Our bigs fouled out, so it really hurt us in the rebounding. The difference in the game was rebounding and the fouls. So I can't fault us. They played hard, and we had a chance to win, and Jada shot almost went in. So I'm proud of our players, and, you know, we have to have that selective amnesia.
Letting them get those offensive boards at the
Killed
end.
us.
It's done. It did it at Oregon State. Was that one too?
Yeah, so what I talked about the staff is it was the exact situation at Oregon State that lost the game. The offensive rebound, and then that led to the threes. Because when you give good teams, you give number 7 in the country 2-3 chances, they're going to hit one. And then Padilla got hot. I think that was end of regulation. I don't remember. I think end of regulation. And that's tough because you give up the offensive rebounds. And Rhea killed us. But some of that's because our bigs are in foul trouble, so we're playing small. So that hurt us too. So the fouls and the rebounding were different. They had 18 offensive boards, which led to 50 points in the paint and 18 second chance points. So that's the game right there. We shot a good percentage. We guarded one of the best players in the country really well. I mean, we made Juju this price. I don't know if it's a season low, but it's not. But I mean, 7 for 19. Not a season low, but 7. But we gave her 19 attempts for 20 points. So we did a good job on her. We did follow the game plan, but Reyes 26 and 11. Some of that's because our bigs are out. So we're playing, and she's a beast inside. They're a good team. So I just want to give credit to us.
Gigi was visibly upset after missing that last shot.
Yeah,
Is there a
it's a
message
hard shot, though.
Was there a message that you gave her after that?
The message that I have always is it's not about the last play. I mean, we had a chance to win. It's the 5 or 6 missed layups in the first quarter and a half. I think we missed probably 10 layups. So it's those layups because we would have been up 15. It's the free throw box out, the free throw offensive rebound we gave up. It's the lack of getting a 50-50 ball. I mean, one or 2 more box outs, we win the game. So it's never down to the last play. She had a look. That was a hard shot. We didn't have a timeout. So she brought it full court, and it hit the back of the rim. So we had chances to win against a really good team, a team that's better than us and deeper than us. But we battled, and we were right there, and we were a shot away from winning. So I feel good about us. I feel good about how we're playing. I think the whole country knows by now that we're an NCAA tournament team. If not, it's just not there. I think there's no doubt, and I think we've showed that towards the end of the season. I think there's no doubt. We play in the best conference in the country. It's deeper than any conference by far, and I don't think anybody can argue that. And our team should have more than six or 7. It should have 8 teams, because Cal is an NCAA team too.
So Helena, wow, you were close to having a triple-double.
Yeah.
You were just doing everything on the court today. I mean, you usually do, but what sort of propelled you today with the rebounding and an incredible, the 7 assists were really, is that a tie again?
For season high.
Season high, yeah. Because you did that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh, she just did that again. You don't play him. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That's what I call the Cookie Monster.
So what sort of propelled you today to...
And 9 rebounds, boy. It's that American lifting. Remember when she got here, she could only lift the bar.
I can.
Now she's, the European lifting. No, 9 rebounds. She's awesome. I mean, yeah, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just ready to play. Like, if I have to play the 1, the 2, 3, or 4, like, I'm just going to play. So I'm just going to do whatever it takes to win. And if I have to do, there's a little bit of everything, I'm going to do it. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel confident right now, so it's the time.
Somebody was in the audience today?
Yeah, my mom was there. I was so happy. But yeah, I mean, disappointed because we lost, but still, I think we have a big chance on Saturday.
What was it like when your mom and your brother surprised you?
I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, they came from Spain just
They
for
lied
like
to
4
her.
days, so I'm so happy they can be here for my last senior night, so it's gonna be special.
We told her she was picking up a recruit from the airport.
I know. And then I saw my mom, new player. No, I'm just
Yeah, then
kidding.
her mom, it's funny, we knew she had the location. Her mom shares her location. And I don't think her mom knew how to turn off the location. I wanted to be like, Mara, turn off your location. But she had no idea. And then she kind of like was suspicious, but then Salva was at the airport because they were picking up a recruit.
Yeah.
And she honestly didn't know until she saw her brother. So brother and her mom came.
You made 8 of 9 free throws in the first half. How do you say that?
That was the Wildcat Radio Replay with the best of the best from 1290. It's brought to you by Desert Diamond Sportsbook, Arizona's best bet.
All right, that was Arizona women's basketball coach Adia Barnes, Helena Puello. That's so awesome that Helena's mom and her brother were able to make it out for senior day. That's going to be so cool to watch when she walks across that floor tomorrow. I'm sure like Bonnie is going to be misty when Helena walks tomorrow. All right, coming up next, we're going to chat with the pitching coach for the Mississippi State Bulldogs softball team, Taryne Mowatt-McKinley, 2-time national champion pitcher here at the University of Arizona. That's next. DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290.
My heat and air were in a state of disrepair.
Spring is here and so are the allergies. I'm Janae Arenas, and if you're a mom like me, you're concerned about how clean the air is that your family is breathing. That's why we offer duct cleaning, aeroseal duct sealing, and air purification. Call us at Picture Rocks Cooling at 520-440-4069. Your family deserves to breathe clean, healthy air.
Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing.
Hi, you know me, Scott Lehman from ScottSaysYes.com. Check out this month's Wildcats Radio 1290 Community Calendar powered by Premier Auto Center.
Visit the Wildcats Radio 1290 Community Calendar at wildcatsradio1290.com to find out what community events are coming up in the Tucson area. You can also find Wildcats Radio 1290 events, upcoming sporting events, and more. Get the details and get involved with our community at wildcatsradio1290.com.
Go to ScottSaysYes.com today.
Taco Bell's new Cravings Value Menu is a big deal. Or rather, it's 10 big deals. From new items like the loaded nachos to familiar favorites like the spicy potato soft taco. Check it out at a participating Taco Bell today. Available for a limited time only while supplies last.
Supertramp ruled the 80s with a chart-busting Breakfast in America. Friday, March 1st at Fox Tucson Theater, Classic Albums Live performs this iconic album, note for note, cut for cut. The music that found its way into your heart, performed by master musicians who absolutely get it right. Classic Albums Live performs Supertramp, Breakfast in America. Get your tickets now at foxtucson.com.
Did you hear what Coach said this week on the Tommy Lloyd radio show?
Is it the angle that the taller guys
I don't know. You're getting into some Bruce Pascoe type philosophy questions there. Umar's the player I got. He does a lot of great things. He has a lot of strengths, and he has a weakness or two, and one of them is shooting free throws. We got to help him figure that out. So
Right. I will find a physics professor who will probably tell me I'm crazy.
The Tommy Lloyd Radio Show, Mondays at 6 o'clock. You miss a week, you miss a lot. Wildcats Radio, 1290.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic.
Or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening.
It's kind of like that.
Did you seriously just aeroseal Gary's mouth?
Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes AeroSeal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that? What do you say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
Wildcat fans, join head coach Adia Barnes and the Arizona women's basketball team in McKale Center this season. Single game tickets start as low as $17 and are available for purchase now. You won't want to miss the fierce competition coming to Arizona. Tickets are available at ArizonaWildcats.com/WBK. Arizona women's basketball. Let's pack McKale Center.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With collisions reported, Shannon and Orange Grove. We've got Lambert Lane and La Cañada. That was a hit-and-run wreck. Golf Links and Harrison, Miracle Mile and Flowing Wells. Ahaway east of Mission, also a crash Pantano and 5th Street with northbound slowing. Houghton and Mary Ann Cleveland Way, an overturned vehicle. 48 and clear tonight, sunny, 76 tomorrow, 71 on Sunday, and 75 now. And I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. Taco Bell's new Cravings Value Menu is a big deal. Or rather, it's 10 big deals. From new items like the loaded nachos to familiar favorites like the spicy potato soft taco. Check it out at a participating Taco Bell today. Available for a limited time only while supplies last.
In 1924, Studebaker turned down Frank O'Reilly. So he went with Chevy. And the rest is history. 100 years of history. And we're celebrating it on March 23rd. And you're invited.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, we are in the midst of the 2024 NCAA softball season. Arizona off to a nice start to their year. They're ranked back in the rankings, and we are now pleased to be joined by a young lady, or I should call her young lady anymore because she is a seasoned woman professional, and she led this program here at the University of Arizona to 2 national championships back in the day. Not to mention she helped coach this University of Arizona program as a pitching coach to 3 College World Series in a row. We are joined by Taryne Mowatt-McKinley. She is now at Mississippi State, where she is the pitching coach down there. And first of all, Taryne, welcome. You guys are off to a pretty nice start in your first season down there, 11-3. What's gone well so far for the Bulldogs?
Well, thank you for having me, and I will allow you to call me a young lady still. I'm okay with that.
Okay, there you go.
No, things have been great here in Starkville. We're off to a good start. We've got a young team. Obviously, I've only been with this team since June, so I haven't had a full year with them, but I think we're doing a lot of really good things here and, just competing every game and making things happen.
What was the attraction maybe to this particular program? Obviously, you got Samantha Ricketts leading it to, was one of the best to ever play the game, a national champion like yourself. When you met with her, how did she sell you that this would be maybe a nice landing spot for you?
Well, I've known Sam for quite a while. I mean, we played against each other in college, but then we played in the pro league together. Right. And I always tell the girls on our team now because they know her as a first baseman at Oklahoma. But what they didn't know is that I made her put on catcher's gear again. She hadn't done it in a while. But in the pro league, I told her, I said, I'm going to need you to start catching me. I would like you to be behind the plate when I'm pitching. And she did it. And so we spent a summer playing together. And we've coached against each other. Obviously, when I was at Ole Miss, we played here in Starkville, so I was very familiar with the town. and very familiar playing against her teams, and they were always very well prepared. They enjoyed the game. It looked like they were having fun. They were very, allowed to be themselves. And so I've always admired what she's done with the program since she was here as an assistant and now as a head coach. And I really kind of wanted a smaller town feel. I have a 2-year-old now, and when we moved here, he was 1.5 and a handful. So I feel like I have a lot of help here, and we're actually closer to family here.
And that was maybe my next question is, like, when the separation happened last year with Arizona, what did you want immediately? Did you think you wanted to dive right back in because of the fact you mentioned, you had Lincoln and he was only 1.5 years? Was there a thought to, maybe let me take a step back and mom for a while and then maybe eventually get back in? How did you kind of walk through that process of what you wanted next for yourself?
Oh, stepping back from coaching was never on the table. I've always wanted to coach. When I was looking for a new job, it was important to me to find the right fit for my family. Obviously, it's not just me and my wife anymore. It is us and Lincoln, and then our dog and our 2 cats. And so just finding the right fit for us. And, circumstances change from when you are 23, 24, starting out coaching to now when, I'm not going to say my age, but I'm sure people can find it if they're really interested. Just circumstances change, and your life needs to fit in a different realm. And we needed to find a place that we were closer to family, driving distance. So it's been nice being here, having, a smaller town where I am just right down the street from where I live. So if I needed to go home for lunch, I can do that. Whereas before I was driving quite a bit because I lived on the north side of Tucson. So Tucson was a little bit bigger of a town than Starkville. Starkville is very small, but everybody.
We're joined by Taryne Mowatt-McKinley, 2-time U of A national champion softball pitcher, former pitching coach, now at Mississippi State. When you think back to when you guys went in to Mississippi State and won that super regional a few years ago to get to the World Series, do you look at that maybe as one of your crowning achievements with all that team had kind of gone through, and you were able to kind of massage that pitching staff with Devin Netz and Hannah Bowen at the lead to get that team to the World Series?
That was a special team and a special bullpen staff that I had. It was definitely a year that there was a lot of things that the public doesn't see, and that they didn't know with our staff until after the season's over. And Bo and Devin, they were nursing injuries throughout the whole season, so having to kind of navigate what that season looked like for them to get them to be able to, be here for the postseason. And them just really, they rehabbed a lot. They were bought into the system. They were great teammates when they weren't able to do certain things. And that was the entire bullpen. We didn't have many pitchers on that team, but everybody kind of did their part to put us in a position to make postseason, and then a position to make a run. And getting to play here in Supers against Mississippi State was one of the things when I came on my interview here that I had brought up, because it was a fantastic weekend in terms of just the vibe and the fans and everything that they had done for that weekend here really made that weekend special. I know, obviously, Mississippi State wanted to win that weekend. We also wanted to win, but I think everybody really gained something from that weekend. And like I said, when I came on my interview, part of the reasoning for taking the job was they invest in women's athletics here. We just got an $8 million indoor that has a film room and its own training room. It has anything, all the bells and whistles. And then when I talked to the AD, I told him, he's new here too. I told him, I said, that super regional weekend, the environment was electric. And I think that's something that showed, the town that we can have that on a regular basis.
We're joined by Taryne Mowatt-McKinley, two-time national champion pitcher here at the University of Arizona, now pitching coach for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. What did it mean for you to help Mike Candrea get back to the World Series? I mean, it had been 10 years since this program had gone, and for you guys to finally get back in 2019 and start that stretch of three consecutive trips, what did that mean for you to be a part of that?
I think that was one of the most special moments of my coaching career, because I know playing for him, the consistency that he puts in every single day at practice, at games. I mean, he's so routine oriented. You know exactly what you're going to get with him every day when you show up, and that's really hard to find in a human being. And then, so obviously, I love Coach Candrea. He pushed me at times where it would make me mad, but he knew exactly which buttons to push for every player. And being able to watch from a distance that stretch where they hadn't gone back to the World Series, where the softball world was just elevating its game across the country. I know how hard it was to get back to the World Series, especially when I got back into Division I coaching, and you can just see the parity and how much better the game had grown and gotten. So being able to come back to Arizona and help him, knowing that there was a good chance he was going to be retiring in the next couple of years, being able to get him back to Oklahoma City where he deserved to be, to finish his career.
What was that conversation like with Caitlin last summer when you guys made the decision to part ways?
I don't think that's a conversation that I want to disclose. I mean, it's a personal conversation between the two of us that occurred, and I think just moving forward, I'm enjoying where I'm at, and my family is enjoying where we're at. And I mean, I'm always going to be an Arizona Wildcat. Graduated from there, grew up loving them and wanting to go there. Being part of the national championships there and then coaching there is special to me. So I think I'm in a place where I'm enjoying what I'm doing here, and my family's enjoying it, and I know they're off to a good start. So a lot of those players, I obviously coach, and I want them to do well.
When you then go to your next situation, do you feel like you have to change anything about your style, your coaching? Are you the same coach? Are you doing it the same way that you did it here in Arizona? Or do you feel like, well, maybe I should change this or that about my approach to make sure that maybe those types of situations don't happen again?
The foundation of my coaching style is pretty set. I think I have a good foundation in my coaching style, and that's who I am. There are things that I'm going to evolve with as I get older and with different staff, and as the recruiting process and the generation of players evolve, I'm going to evolve with that. But the foundation of my coaching style is always going to be the same. And I feel like I've evolved since I started, but like I said, the foundation of who I am and how I approach coaching the bullpen is pretty similar and has been pretty consistent throughout my coaching career.
It's interesting you use the term bullpen to kind of clarify the girls that you coach. Where did that term come from in terms of maybe just most people I would think referred to it as the pitching staff, but you referred to it as the bullpen. That's interesting.
Because I like to include the catchers in it. I know how important they are. I might not have known that as much when I was younger until I married a catcher, a former catcher. So I do understand how important the catchers are in terms of the bullpen as a staff. And I think, without the catchers, and not just the everyday starting catchers, but the catchers who put a lot of work in the bullpen, the managers who catch a lot of bullpen. I think everybody that is in that bullpen is a part of the success of the entire pitching staff.
Coach Candrea, we talked to him a few weeks ago in his interim role here as the AD. He said he came down and made a visit to Mississippi State in the fall. What was that visit like for you to kind of have him come and check on you in your new operation?
That was amazing. Seeing him and Tina here, and then his sister and brother-in-law, his brother-in-law played baseball here. So there was a special interest for them coming that weekend, as well as the football game. But having him see me in, a different program, still doing what I love. Lincoln was at practice that day, so he got to see Lincoln even more grown up. And at this age, like, if you don't see them for a week, the next time you see them, they look super different. So him not seeing Lincoln for months and months, and then getting to see him, in this environment and at practice was really special. And then he got to talk to the girls a little bit and our team. And anytime he talks, people listen. So having him kind of come here and come to the softball field and do a little check-in with me to make sure everything is good, that's just who he is. He checks in on the people that he loves. He's always said he doesn't coach you for 4 years, he coaches you for life. So I still get the birthday text messages, the Christmas text messages, all the holidays, really. And then being able to see Tina, that was amazing too. I love Tina. I've been around since the beginning of their relationship, when they started dating and then got married. That was during my playing days. So it's just very special to have them here, seeing me in a new environment. And he's Coach Candrea. He's amazing.
Do you see yourself as a head coach at all in the future?
I don't know. I don't want to limit myself. In the past, I've always said, at the moment, I do not want to be a head coach. I really, really enjoy being an assistant coach. I think you develop a different type of relationship with the players, and I enjoy what I'm doing as an assistant coach. There's times that I think about what it would be like to be a head coach, and if maybe the right opportunity presented itself. But at this moment, I enjoy the position that I'm in as an assistant coach.
There you go. Taryne Mowatt is
I would need some really, really good assistants to organize me, all the paper and the admin stuff. I would need some really, really good assistants.
What is, I guess, in terms of the new age of college athletics with NIL and all of that, it's very different than when you played. How have you learned to navigate that as a coach?
Fortunately, I don't have to navigate it too much being the assistant, which is another reason why I like the position that I'm in. But also, we're not allowed to have direct impact on the NIL stuff. Now, the day and age of NIL it's crazy. It's different. We have a player on our team that she is very, very popular, has a very big social media following, and she has multiple NIL deals, and she's really marketed herself and done a great job of navigating the playing and the NIL marketplace. And the thing that I've noticed about her, I think she's the most followed person on social media on our campus.
Wow.
And yeah, above football, basketball, I'm pretty sure. Don't put me at 100% sure, but I'm like 95% sure that she's the most followed social media person on our campus. And the thing with her is she does a great job of separating the two. And I think in this day and age, when you have billions of dollars being poured into college athletics, I think it's kind of cool that certain athletes can use NIL to further their personal life. Now, I do think there are some parts of it that are a little extreme and are being used for what it not what it was intended for. But anytime, I mean, you're always going to get the good with the bad.
You ever pontificate what your earning potential would have been in the NIL era?
I try not to think about it because I always say I might not be coaching.
You'd have probably been the highest paid athlete on this campus, I would think.
I might not be coaching right now if NIL was a thing when I was a player.
Wow, see that?
I also might have taken the first class plane ticket to the SBs, all the extras that came that I didn't take because I was only a junior in college.
There you go. Taryne, hey, thanks so much for the opportunity to chat with you. Continued success. I know your fans want to make sure that the one thing that people always ask is, you think we'll see Taryne back? Will she come to events? And it sounds like that, 50 years of Arizona athletics, Arizona softball, you're such a huge part of that, and that you'll be back in that alumni role in the future.
Yes, I mean, I love Arizona. Like I said, I will not be back this year because we are also playing.
Right.
But, yeah, I love Arizona. I love everything that Coach Kendrea built there. And a lot of my great memories are there as a player. A lot of my best friends I still talk to. In fact, Chelsea Mesa came down to the Palm Springs tournament this past weekend to just watch, and she brought her kids. And, so there's always going to be an association. And it's, it's Arizona. And I loved my time there, and I love my time where I'm at right now.
Taryne, thanks again.
Thank you.
Taryne Mowatt, two-time national champion at the University of Arizona. If NIL had been around in 2007, like she said, she probably would not be coaching right now because she would have made a ton here at the University of Arizona. That's going to wrap up our show for today. Don't forget, tomorrow we're with you all day. 8 o'clock, we start with the Meridian Wealth Management Countdown to Tip-Off Show. Wildcats in Oregon, men at noon, ladies against the Bruins at 6. For J.W. Madden and Cricket, thanks to all our guests, Taryne Mowatt-McKinley, as well as Joan Bonvincini, Brian Jeffries. That is our time for tonight. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great weekend, everybody.
From the it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic. Slowing on the eastbound side of I-10 approaching and passing Ajo Kino. Also some backups for Ajo and Mission. It's pretty normal in the afternoons. Reported collisions Valencia and Camino de la Tierra, Valencia and Cardinal, Shannon and Orange Grove, a hit-and-run wreck, Lambert Lane and La Cañada. Also a crash that occurred at Wetmore and Flowing Wells, and Houghton and Mary and Cleveland Way, earlier overturned vehicle. And I'm Cricket. And your weather overnight tonight, 47 the low, clear skies, sunny, 76 tomorrow, 71 on Sunday, and 75 now. And that's your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Save now at Dell.com/deals.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Replay. Stop. Opt out.
Guys, let's get real about your hair loss. How long have you been wearing a hat? Hiding thinning hair or a rapidly growing bald spot? Just stop it. You're not a 12-year-old little leaguer. You're a grown man. It's time to take action. Let the hat go and get your real hair back permanently with Bosley. You heard that right. Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration experts, can give you your real hair back permanently. And right now, Bosley is giving away